I believe it, you will see it, the writing on the wall. It's for reason, not for malice, that we watch them fall. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist. Have you seen it? The stupidity of the ones around you. Can you feel it? The need to rise up from the pit of destitute. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist. Forging unity, the time is coming to annihilate the ignorant, peddling scum, breathing anger, exhale wisdom, suffocate the indifference. No more complacency. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist.
Oh yeah, welcome to the stream. Pieces of shit. Oh, I forgot to turn my big light on. Silly me. Oh well. I guess I could do that real quick. Sorry about that, Squeaks. Don't like that light in your eyes, do you, buddy? You want to be my little co-host today? Yeah? Is that right? Say hi. Say hi to them. You don't want to do it? Too grumpy? Yeah. What does Squeaks have to say about the world? Usually, meow. In a very whiny fucking meow. That's usually his opinion on most things. Squish the cat. That's rude. Why would I do that? That's mean. Don't be mean. Why is violence against women in particular made out to be such a big issue when men are more likely to be victims of all forms of violent crimes? Probably because there are still some kind of like holdover morals from a bygone era where, women are supposed to be weaker. So therefore they need to be treated as more precious, more delicate, etc. Now, you could even say that there's like an evolutionary explanation if you want to delve into evolutionary psychology, which is a pretty controversial field, but I really don't know why. I think it's controversial because a lot of times people allow rampant speculation to substitute for science. But I don't have a problem with that. But one thing that is definitely true is that from a purely arithmetic perspective, long live King Kirk, thank you. Live long and prosper. From a purely evolutionary perspective or arithmetic perspective, you have, let's say, this horrible disaster, right? And you have it kills most of the men, right? You have 100 women and 1 man. Pretty easy to repopulate pretty quickly, long as he's got a working set of balls. That's potentially 100 pregnant women, and repopulation can commence. If you have the opposite scenario, you have 100 men and 1 woman. Not only can she only be pregnant once at a time, but those guys are going to be murdering each other to get access. So, it doesn't work. And that's why, when it comes time to send people off to war, a lot of times it's the men that get sent off to war. Men are treated just more expendably, like on the Titanic, women and children, save the women and children. Men are more expendable. If you're a man, you're expected to be willing to die. In this country, you have to register for the draft if you're a man. So, that's basically like, hey, if we need you, you got to go die for us. It's like, what the fuck? I don't know. Yeah, I'll sign it, but if it actually comes down to pass, I'll see you in Canada, bitch. I don't know what to fucking tell you. I ain't sticking around here for that. Do you think it's reasonable for trans women to compete with cis women in sports? Yeah, sure. I really don't see why not. Reminds me of Why the Last Man. Good comic and premise. The show adaptation sadly didn't live up to that. I have no knowledge of that intellectual property in any of its forms, so I guess you'll have to go without my opinion on that, because I don't know. I don't know. Psychology is a soft science, neuroscience is a hard science. Right. And evolutionary psychiatry is or psychology is a amalgam of the two. I mean, there's certain things that just can't be hard sciences, right? There are certain facts about reality that are just not establishable by empirical means, and they're always going to be somewhat subjective. And I think we have to accept that. I'm a hard science. Oh, yeah. Where's the crown? Right here. It just didn't feel like wearing the crown today. But I have it. It's not gone anywhere. It hasn't. It's just not. It's not in my mood set for the day. But it'll come back when I feel more kingly. I'll put it on again. I mean, make no mistake, I'm the king whether I wear the crown or not. But today is just not a crown day. I don't know what to tell you. The cognitive sciences often inform one another, soft and hard. Oh, yeah. Vigilant dipshit. Gives $13.99. Thanks, vigilant dipshit. I love you. You're beautiful. Maybe Evo Psych is so controversial because the conclusions seem to be unfalsifiable and argue with the conservatism is natural in some ways. Well, yeah, I mean, the problem with subjectivity is that, when you have a when you introduce subjectivity into a discussion, obviously people's own biases creep in a big way. I mean, even when you're dealing with objective material, that happens. But when it's subjective, it's like, oh, it's a license to interpret. And that's when people start to, push for certain outcomes. That's when people start to, view things through the lens of their own biases and their own psychological needs and so on and so forth. But, I mean, look, we're human beings. We have a perspective. We have a set of biases. It's impossible to keep that from creeping into things, especially when it comes to the realm of subjectivity, because that's literally the only lens you have to interpret that. Unless you just want to say no subjective premise will ever be held by me. I will only believe in that which is objective. But that's really impossible, because even to say that objective reality is more important than subjective reality is subjective. So, you're pretty much always going to have to decide some things on your own. Facts will only take you so far. Which is why I always found, one of the reasons why I always found Ben Shapiro's little axiom that facts don't care about your feelings to be so absurd. I mean, facts don't care about anything. They don't care about your life. They don't care if your mom dies in a fucking house fire. Facts don't care, period. But the idea that facts and feelings don't intersect in, incredibly interesting ways that change the fate of the world, that's patently false. We should build a moon base for military purposes, and we shall build public hospitals also for military reasoning. Sure thing, buddy. For $5, you go ahead. $4.99. Why don't you talk about men's issues more often? Is it because it's such a political non-starter in left-wing circles? I don't talk about men's issues more often because I find that even though I am a man, and even though I find like there are certain inequalities in the way men are treated in certain regards, I think that there are also plenty of ways in which women are not treated well. Or not treated equally. And I don't really talk much about those either. I used to be way more about, gender politics-based discussion. It's not really been something I have talked about too much recently. And if I'm honest about it, it's because kind of to me, and I don't mean to be offensive, but it's going to come across as offensive because it is. I think that I pretty much hate men and I pretty much hate women. So I'm a misandrist and a misogynist at this point. I've always been a misanthrope, but I never really hated people on a gendered basis, but now I think I do. I think that women are spoiled, naggy cunts, and men are disgusting, stupid, oafish pigs. And that's my contention. And if you don't like it, sorry. But that's how I feel. So... I don't know. And I'm not saying all, right? For either one. I'm not saying all for either one. But most. Or a lot. I don't know. The most based take. Or the least. I don't know which. Who cares? What does it matter? You can assign words to things. It's a big deal. A lot of people like it. No, I don't know. I mean, it's just like the social construct that is men and women. They're just so limiting and weird and stupid, and I hate them. I personally hate them. I hate them, folks. I don't know. I am a misandrogynist. Only hermaphrodites are cool. Amen. Go hermaphrodite master race. I thought Madonna looked hot at the Oscars, and I'm tired of pretending she didn't. Hey, you know what? Like, if what she had going on does it for you, good on you, man. Rock on. Congratulations. I'm glad. personally, to me, when plastic surgery starts to get to that level where you look like Lion-O from the Thundercats, I feel like it's gone too far. But hey, you know, man, you do you, bro. I mean, I don't give a fuck. Gets your dick hard, that's great. This is good. You know, you rock on with that. How would King TJ solve America's problems? I mean, expediently. Ever played or watched Danganronpa? No. I don't know what that is. Sorry about that. Never heard of it. Thunder, 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 thunder thighs. Ho! Whatever stiffens your staff, my man. Oh, yeah. That's how you got to do it. That's the best way. That's the only way sometimes, right? There's an episode, a DFF episode about TJ's America and Sky's America. It's pretty good. Yeah. Has your view on atheism evolved or changed at all over the last 10 years? I mean, it's really not much of a... There's really not much to evolve about the view, I don't think. God isn't real. That's pretty much it. I don't know, like... Oh, you know what? It has evolved. Because I used to think God is not real. And now I think God is really fucking not real. So it's a little stronger, maybe. Yeah, there you go. Give us thy wisdom, O Lord. And if you have no wisdom to give, just make some serendipitous noise. Wisdom, eh? People love wisdom. And, you know, really, I mean, I should really start coming up with some little wise sayings. If I'm going to grow this beard out like this, you know. Like, oh. But, you know, people don't really like true wisdom, though. Because true wisdom, that requires a lot of explanation and all that. What people really like is some pithy little saying that sounds wise. A lot of times it has to have like a paradoxical quality to it. You know? Like, to go forward, you must go back. You know, some shit like that. It's like, yes, of course. Perhaps the quickest way to win is to lose. You know, some shit like that. People are like, oh, yeah. Ooh. Hoo, hoo, hoo. But, you know, I mean, yeah, people can find meaning in that shit. But, you know, that's about it. So, yeah, I guess my wisdom is don't be tricked with pithy sayings that sound wise but are so open to interpretation that they can just mean whatever you want them to mean. Because that's the thing about a paradox, right? You throw a paradox out there, people can choose one of two different meanings to it. The solution to the paradox is to do whatever the hell I want. That's not really wisdom at that point. It's just like something that's justifying what you were already going to do in the first place. TJ going up against wisdom. Sure thing, bud. Every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes. I don't believe you. I don't think that's true. I'm going to fact check the shit out of that. The only way to make a chicken sandwich is to make a cheeseburger, but then substitute the burger for chicken. Wah! Meaningless word salad makes people go, ooh. Something to that. Just like the Jordan Peterson shit, you know? You have murdered the pathway to meaning. Close the door. Does anyone listen to Wisdom anyway? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's popular. Wisdom is super popular. Wisdom. You know, yeah, there's like these channels that just, they have like great quotations from great men, and then you look them up and like half of them are not even, it's like shadily attributed. They got like these self-help gurus that are always spouting their little fake wisdom out there. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, people still fucking love wisdom. They love the wise character in the movie that's like, you know, gives the protagonist talks to them, and then they have that like aha moment, you know. Good old like Yoda, you know, like the Yoda archetype, right? Deepak Chopra, yeah, that's another guy peddling wisdom. Humans are experiential creatures. We love moment to moment. I think you meant live, maybe. Sometimes even a pithy saying can be the right thing for someone to hear at that moment. I'm not fucking shitting on pithy sayings. I'm just saying that they're very digestible and that ultimately they're very easy. And, you know, that doesn't always necessarily bode well. Doesn't always necessarily bode ill. But you know, I don't know. I'd be skeptical that the answer to your problems is just some pithy, easily digestible thing that sounds smart at a glance. You might want to do a little bit more of a deep dive, you know? Every 60 seconds, a dude blows a rope. That's probably, there's probably more ropes being blown than that, I would think. Unless people are orgasming way less than I suspected. Go, Speed Racer, go. My brother became a right-wing Christian who does life coaching, which is basically therapy, but it doesn't require any degrees and costs 3 times as much. He also wrote a self-help book. I mean, hey, you know. People who write self-help books are ironically helping themselves. So, you know, I guess someone believes it, right? Just hearing and relating to some of the things you guys have to say has a real impact on some very sad and cynical people. Don't quit. Okay. I didn't plan on it. Miss the old TJ, straight from the go, TJ. Chop up the soul, TJ. Set on his goals, TJ. I hate the new TJ, the bad mood, TJ. I mean, I've been smiling the whole time. See? I'm happy as fuck. Look how happy. I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. How's the intermittent fasting going, TJ? I'm actually doing I'm doing a long fast today. I'm trying to do a full day fast today. I'm trying to not eat anything. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it. We'll see. Thank you, Kay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough, but I haven't really experienced any true hunger yet. I've experienced some eating compulsions. If I get truly hungry, I will eat. I'm not going to deny my body if it tells me that I'm hungry. But I'm not going to eat purely out of compulsion either, which I normally would. But I'm not going to today. No, I mean, no, there was a guy that's, I told him I had just completed. I said on Twitter that I'd completed a 16-hour fast, which is a pretty normal intermittent fasting period. So a lot of people who get into intermittent fasting, they get on a 8-16 plan, which is basically eat for 8 hours, not continuously, obviously, but you have an 8-hour window in which you eat, and then you have a 16-hour window in which you don't eat. And so 8-16 is a pretty common, so 16 hours is a pretty basic, increment. And in fact, a lot of the intermittent fasting, channels that I watched on YouTube, because before I endeavor to do anything, I like to hear at least 3 or 4 different people's opinions and takes on it, so I can kind of see what they have in common and what they don't. And I did that with the intermittent fasting stuff. I went and looked at a bunch of people who were advocating intermittent fasting, and I listened to what they all had to say, and I, tried to glean what are the core principles that everyone follows, and what are the things that are sort of, maybe just something one person believes, or something that's more arguable. And one of the things that they all said is, you're starting off. You don't jump right into some extreme fast situation. You start off slow, and most of them recommended like a 12-hour fast to start. I thought I could do better. I did a 16-hour, and then this asshole on Twitter, of course, wants to shit on that and say that's not even a fast, and that's just called sleeping. And I'm just like, who the fuck sleeps 16 fucking? I don't sleep 16 hours. I'm lucky if I get 8. Lucky. Most nights it's going to be 5-6 hours. Lucky if I get 8 hours. I'm certainly not getting fucking 16 goddamn hours of sleep on an average goddamn night, okay? So, fuck you. You're a weirdo. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know. And what does it even fucking matter to you anyway? Don't be a goddamn loser about this, all right? But today I'm doing a long fast. I don't know. I should have started a timer or something when I stopped eating, but I'm pretty sure that I stopped eating around 3 or 4 last night. 3 or 4 this morning, I guess, technically. So I think I'm about at the 12-hour mark of this fast right now. Or something like that. I might have stopped eating earlier I don't know. But whatever. I'm at least 12 hours in. We'll call it 12 hours at this point. Do I have sleep apnea symptoms? Not to my knowledge. What is the reason for not eating that long? Well, one thing is to control insulin levels. Another thing is to just reduce calories overall, because if you have giant windows of time where you don't eat, you're not going to consume as many calories, and therefore you're not going to consume too many calories and gain weight. So it's a strategy for weight loss, basically. And it's one that a lot of people have a success with. And the reason I am trying it is because I've tried so many times to control what I eat, and I've always found that very difficult to do because I am an inherently hedonistic person. I enjoy eating too much it's like, if I could, I always have said this, like when I quit smoking, I quit cold turkey, because saying I'm not going to do something is easier for me than doing it in moderation. When I tried to ease off of cigarettes, I could never do it. I would try and I would get down to maybe 3 or 4 a day, but I could never totally break it from there. I had to one day just be like, no more smoking, cold turkey. And it was when I made that decision that the change actually happened. And now I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary of not smoking. And not even one slip up. I decided not to. I haven't fucking done it. Still smoke weed, of course. But, no cigarettes. And, do I miss them? To this day. To this day, there's plenty of times when I would love to go out and smoke a fucking cigarette, but I don't do it because I've decided I'm not going to do it. Now, I do have one little exception in my brain where if I go to Las Vegas, which I might be doing that this year, I will smoke in Las Vegas. But then I'm quitting again. The second I'm not in Las Vegas, no more smoking. I do not have diabetes, by the way. I see people making diabetes jokes. Controlling insulin levels is not just about controlling symptoms of diabetes. I don't have fucking diabetes. But anyway, I'm not good at moderation. And I'm certainly not good at eating healthy because I don't like healthy foods. They're not interesting. They fucking suck. I don't want to eat a carrot. I don't want to eat a fucking piece of broccoli. I don't want to eat vegetables. I mean, I'll eat them. Don't get me wrong. Like you gotta have that stuff. But I can't sit there eating fucking steamed broccoli and fucking chicken breasts and shit. That's horrible. Just shoot me. So instead of trying to control what I eat, I'm going to just control when I eat. And if you want aggressive weight loss, my understanding is that the best way to do that is to do alternate day fasting, which is the system I'm trying to build myself up to. I'm trying to build myself up to doing alternate day fasting, which is eat one day, don't eat the next. So I'd be eating every other day. It's pretty aggressive, but so is the weight loss results. Now it is shown that people who eat like that do eat 35% more calories than they normally would on their eating days. So I'm sure that I'll be even more gluttonous on the days that I do eat. But that 35% uptick on those days is not going to be enough to compensate for all of that time spent not eating. So I'm trying to get into that mode, that mindset, and see how that works for me and how it works for my body. And if it doesn't work, then, you know, I might try something a little less ambitious. Might try like the 8-16 window, or something like that. Or I might do, you know, normally I 8 to 16, but have a couple days of longer fasts. I don't know. So I'm just going to try that stuff. Is Chelsea fasting with you? No. She doesn't like that. She tried to do a fast with me once a long time ago when I first started trying to do this, and the reason I didn't fast in the first place is I actually started trying to do this a few years ago, but Chelsea couldn't hang with it. So I stopped because I wanted to be, you know, supportive of her. And, you know, she wanted to be supportive of me, and we wanted to find something that worked for both of us. But, you know, I have not been able to find anything. So I'm back to this. And I think that maybe this is the right approach for me. And as far as, you know, her stuff is concerned, you know, she's going to have to, if she wants to lose weight, she'll have to figure out a different thing. Because I don't know if fasting is for her. Or she could try it again. Maybe she could do a very mild fast. Like a lot of people do, like 12-12. A lot of people say women shouldn't fast. I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know. I missed something because I just came in. Why is CJ fasting? I'm doing intermittent fasting for weight loss. That's all you need to know. Just if you want an explanation, go to someone who's an expert on it. I'm far from an expert. I'm a beginner. If you want to know more about it, you can search it on YouTube, or you can search it on Google, or you can search it somewhere that has search features and find out about it. Any exercise included? I've been working out more regularly lately. I just finished putting together a punching bag earlier today too. I still need to get more sand in the base because it's still too light. I threw some quick punches at it, and you know it's not stable enough yet. But yeah, I liked the feel of punching it. I just need to get it more stable. Need to get the base weighted down more. Unfortunately, the sand I bought seems to all be wet and clumpy, and so it's really hard to load into the fucking thing. I don't know what the fuck the deal with that is. Fasting makes you gain weight. That's 100% not true. Fasting can make you gain weight if you eat too much during your fast. Like if you're on if you're on an 8 to 16 or whatever, 8-16, thing where you're fasting for 16 hours and eating 8 hours, and you spend that 8 hours like eating entirely donuts and cakes and shit, then yeah, I guess, you're not going to fucking see any weight loss at that point. But like if you're eating relatively normally, you're not going to somehow gain weight even at a calorie deficit. That's stupid. Where's the weight going to come from? I mean, there's shit tons of people who have lost weight fasting. You can't just say like, "Oh yeah, like what's next? Eating nothing but lettuce and fucking salads is going to make you gain weight?" Like, come on. TJ can't stop launching punching bags through walls with his 1-inch punch. I mean, it's true. Like, I barely tap the thing. It goes flying across the garage. I can't help it that I'm a fucking Dragon Ball Z level fucking badass. What? Come in if you want.
Do you see stickers?
What stickers?
Oh, down there. Look, it's a new feature.
Oh, yeah, they don't show up on this.
They show up down there.
I see them when they pop up. Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
Yes, I see them.
Cool.
Okay. That it? Okay. Chelsea was like, "Do you see these stickers when I press them?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." She's like, "All right, cool." What?
Nothing.
Squeaks is my co-host. You see that?
Yeah.
He's not on camera, but maybe I'll get him like his own little secondary camera. Ugh. And the devil is here. Stop it. Yeah, there you go. Look at the people. Do you like them? Do you want to eat the people? What do you think? Yeah?
Give me a kiss.
He's not as kissy as Squeaks is. He wants to be on my shoulder. Think you're strong, TJ? Then do a Kamehameha for us. I mean, I don't want to destroy all my equipment and shit. That's stupid. I'm not going to fucking do a Kamehameha in my fucking house. You want to meet me on the streets, I'll do one. You won't survive, but I'll do it. You can make a new one if you want.
Do you want one?
That was kind of what I was saying. TJ, you're cool. No shit, Sherlock. TJ's beard is easily 3 pounds. My beard is really pretty thin. Like, it's long, but it's not thick. I mean, I have blonde hair. Well, I used to. Really, it's pretty dark these days, but yeah. Oh, no. Where are you going? Over there? You gonna cause some havoc? Go create some chaos? Oh, yeah? All right. What are you doing? Don't fucking go up there. Definitely don't jump on those shelves. You will knock those over in a second, bro. Yeah? Don't do it. I'm kind of hoping he will do it because it'll be funny as fuck, but still, don't do it. No. You probably shouldn't. Quit looking up there. What's he going to do? He's going up there. You think he's going to do it? He's going to go for it? Let's see. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. Are you going to go for it, Corn Pop? Come on. Don't be a pussy. Cat. He's casing them shelves. It looks like he looks like he's thinking about trying to make the top of the black cabinet. I don't know what's stopping him. I don't know if he thinks there's too many obstacles, or if he's just like trying to calculate trajectory, or if he's just trying to figure out if it's worth expending the energy to do it. He's thinking about it for sure. Uh-oh. Don't do that. That's not going to hold you. Uh-huh. Little fuck. He's distracted. I'm glad he at least tried the shelf out. I think he was trying to get on that shelf to see if he could get a closer jump to the black cabinet. But yeah, he didn't do it. I hope he didn't break my my Granny Gruesome. I painted that. That was a ceramic I painted. It was supposed to be like a loving little grandma, and I painted her like a little nightmare demon. See? Yeah, she's supposed to be like a little sweet old grandma. But instead, she looks like some fucking hell beast. Yeah, she loves you. She loves you all.
Did he drop it?
Yeah, Corn Pop knocked it all down. I think she's fine, though.
Yeah. Just admiring her avocado dress.
You want to put her back? Or you want me to do it?
I do it.
All right. Ugh. Yeah, the bottom one. Is Chelsea legal? No. Chelsea is my underage sex slave. You heard it here. Squeaks is like,
Sorry, baby.
I
I just want to sit.
just want to sit. Do you want to be on mic? You can put the mic on there.
I don't know if I have anything to say.
You don't know if you have anything to say? All right, sorry. When TJ is king, the trans will have the might of the U.S. military supporting their bid for world domination. Oh yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a trans army. Dude, I don't mean to be offensive, all right? And I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way. Because I don't want it to fucking seem like... I'm not hating on trans people. I'm not hating on fat people. But every time I see a fat trans person, I always... Part of my brain is always like, trans fat. You know what I mean? Like, I can't help it. I'm fucking sorry, all right? I'm fucking sorry. I miss the Chelsea streams. Yeah, we all do. What's wrong with her? Why won't she do it? Your title is misleading. TJ, right-wing memes with no apostrophe around memes imply right-wingers can meme. Yeah, you know, I mean, they can. The thing is, like, I don't believe in the whole, like, the right can't meme thing. Or, you know, some people say the left can't meme. I don't believe that either side can't meme. I just think that right-wing memes are fucking stupid. Like, you made a meme. It is a meme. It's just a shitty meme. Really, what's misleading about my title is that most of the stuff I show is not most of the stuff I show, but a lot of it's not actually memes. It's just kind of like stuff that I, you know, normally wouldn't be enough to respond to on its own, but as part of like an overarching bit, you know, you can talk about it. But these trans fats are not bad for you. Well, what if I want them to be? What then? The three transes: trans fat, transgender, and transactions. What about transformers? Robots in disguise. Left-wing memes kind of suck too. Depends on who's worse at it. I mean, if you're in my boat, oh wait, neither Dems or reps care about trans people. They use the issue, pretend to not be the same, and people keep people fighting. Yeah, I didn't see your whole comment, but I think that you're not completely wrong. But where I would take a little bit of issue is to say that that they only pretend to care, because saying they pretend to care kind of makes it seem like Republicans are toothless on the trans issue. And I don't think that's true. I think that there is a willingness on the side of the right to do real legitimate harm to trans people and others if it advances their political agenda. So, yeah, I think that, you know, so you can't take that lying down. You got to take that seriously. How'd you meet Chelsea? She saved my ass in Nam, back in Vietnam. The war in Vietnam. TJ, I love you. Cool. Good. Zill, what are you doing? Making whiny ass sleep noises. Oh well. What? Democrats are infinitely better for trans issues. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're infinitely better than a party that actively wants to fucking destroy trans people. I think that's actually a pretty good segue into our right-wing memes, considering this first one. So let's go ahead and just do that. Check it out. Ban transgenderism. Remove transgender rights entirely. Institutionalize transgender people. Ban drag shows. Ban gay marriage. Remove homosexuality from public. Arrest sexually predatory teachers. There is no need for complex arguments to do all the above. Just do it. Love how it becomes the Nike slogan at the end there, you know? Just do it. Here's a laundry list of hate-filled garbage. Now go out there and fucking do it. So yeah, keeping this guy out of power is probably a pretty smart move. Does that mean that the person you put in power in lieu of him is your friend? Not necessarily. Maybe just a less imposing enemy. But I do want to stress that on most issues, on the vast preponderance of issues, Democrats and Republicans virtually goddamn identical. But on issues like this, social issues, yeah, they use these as wedge issues to convince the populace that they're more different than they actually are. But does that mean that they aren't playing with fire? No, they are. They're willing to fucking... If marching your ass into the camps is what it takes for them to keep and maintain power, they'll fucking do it. Don't call their bluff on that one. You'll end up sorely regretting that fucking move. In my opinion. What else we got? Here's another, you know, this is so sad too, because this artist, they used, I think this is still technically considered their comic Sinfest. When they started this comic Sinfest, like, I don't know, 15 years ago or some shit like that, this comic was pretty goddamn good. It was pretty goddamn good and pretty goddamn funny. But then at some point, like pre-2016, this comic started getting SJW as hell. And I was like, I don't want to read this SJW crap. And now it's gone full-on crazy turf shit. And it's now at the point where it's making up things to be mad at and then going, Argh! So you have the teacher lady. The alarm's going off. Beep, 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 beep. She's like, school shooting drill. Into the safe room. Trans kids first. Cis white kids stand guard outside. What? I think I'm trans. Me too. Okay, come in. Oh, yeah. Oh, this common everyday occurrence, man. Schools across America. You know it and I know it. This is how it all goes down. Like, I get that, you know, you're making a comic strip and, you know, part of that is probably exaggerations. But even as an exaggeration, how fucking full of shit is this goddamn thing, huh? When libs say right-wing memes, they mean Facebook/Twitter conservative boomer memes. 4chan, arguably the core of internet culture, is not. 4chan is every bit as much of an amalgam of different points of view as anywhere on the goddamn internet, all right? And, like, you can go from board to board on that thing and see all kinds of different fucking perspectives. Also, a lot of people are using 4chan as a place for their crazy ass id to just run amok. So I don't even necessarily think 4chan is all that reflective of who a person is in their day to day. You know, if they're like, now my demons come out, like, you know what I mean? But even with that in, you know, being factored in, there's tons of freaking crazy left-wing shit, milquetoast lib shit. It's just because it's a place where everybody can just go and post anonymously. So, yeah, there's a whole slew of crazy shit going on there. This idea that 4chan is just like, oh man, strictly like a right-wing place. Not true. I got 4chaners to argue if Shrek exists. Exactly. Exactly my point. How can you ignore gun violence in America? A shooter just massacred a dozen people. He was trans, and then they're just calm. Because that's how it was. The moment that America found out the shooter was trans, everyone just shut up. You know what? Never mind. That shooting didn't even happen. Shh. Not how I remember it. I seem to remember people still fucking talking gun control points. Joe Biden is actually pushing really hard right now to ban assault weapons and shit. So, like, the idea that everyone just shut up the minute it was revealed the shooter was trans, not really accurate. But hey, once again, I'll give it some leeway because it is a fucking comic. But, like, come on. Even the editorial perspective on that, sans any sort of, like, allowance for exaggeration, is pretty goddamn stupid. Here's a great one. Someone has, we'll go to the top here first. So here is this angry, disgruntled piece of useless subhuman scum at a restaurant called Burger Death. Which, I'm fine with this place. I'll go to Burger Death any day. You give me a restaurant called Burger Death, I'll be in line. And she says, I deserve an $11 an hour minimum wage. This is from 2014, so by now it would be higher, but at this time, $11 is what they're asking. And then she's telling this guy, the burger is $10.60, which that's a fucking expensive burger, even by modern day inflation standards. And he says, here's a 20 and 60 cents, okay? So, you know, obviously you just give him a 10 back in change. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I better call a manager. Okay. I guess she's really bad at math. But you know who else is really bad? The artist, because you look in here and he's trying to hand her 3 bills. He says he has a $20 bill and 60 cents. So what the hell's going on there? So here it is. Here's the 50-cent bill. And here is the 10-cent bill. Yeah, here's 3 fucking bills for that amount. There you go, buddy. Maybe it's a nitpick, but I like it. What's going on here? Nobody blamed the lightsaber when Anakin killed the younglings. What an argument, man. sitting here trying to talk about reality. And this motherfucker's gonna bust out his. Now's the time to bust out my Star Wars reference. Nobody blamed the lightsaber. Well, you know, like, I guess that you got something like a point going on there, but, like, do we know if, like, the easy access to lightsabers to, like, mentally unstable aspiring Jedi is causing people to, you know, people who shouldn't necessarily be able to get their hands on one to do that? I don't know. I don't know if the politics of the Star Wars universe necessarily transpose easily onto the politics of our universe, but maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know the lore. I don't know the deep lore. I need to get into that extended universe shit. Maybe then. Here's all right, she's putting the metal on him. And he's biting the metal, and he's making out with her and grabbing her ass, flipping the bird, shooting the champagne. But then it turns out, oh, woman of the year. Oh, I see. Yeah, you know, so many trans women are just dudes with, you know, with bald heads and Mario mustaches, huge rippling muscles, you know. Yeah, I mean, she's hot. I don't know what to tell you, you know? Banana bucks. Thank you. Racism in America was almost dead because we were united in ridiculing racists and their beliefs. Then these two showed up and set America back 100 years. Yeah, damn those two. Damn them to hell. America was almost over racism until we had a black president, and then I was like, no. I'm pretty sure that the reason that Blazing Saddles was made is because racism was, like, rampant. You know, they didn't decide, like, let's make fun of racists even though there almost are none. They made fun of racists because it was still way too fucking prevalent. And the idea that, like, you were somehow forced into being racist by the existence of the first black president is a pretty stupid notion. Like, yeah, man, the reason Obama triggers me so hard is because of not his race, but some other attribute, but it makes me hate all people of his race. So really, he set America back, you know? Did he? I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm pretty sure you were already racist when he got elected, and that's why you hate him so much. Don't get me wrong, I hate Obama too, but I waited for there to actually be reasons to hate him. I just didn't decide, like, uh-oh, must be a secret Kenyan Muslim, y'all. Here's another meme. Colorado Springs shooter identified as non-binary. Denver shooter identified as trans. Aberdeen shooter identified as trans. Nashville shooter identified as trans. So first of all, including the Colorado Springs shooter on this is like a giant load of bullshit, because that guy was not non-binary. That guy was anti-LGBT as fuck. That guy hated LGBT people. Everybody who knows him says he was a fucking Nazi. His family fucking knows he's a Nazi. He ran a fucking Nazi message board. So, like, this guy was not fucking non-binary. He said that to make waves. He said that to do a psyop, and that is well documented and obvious. I don't know anything about this Denver or Aberdeen shooter. I know some stuff about the Nashville shooter. I can tell you this. Even if you go on a per capita basis and look at mass shooters, trans people are underrepresented. I think trans people are, like, depending on who you ask, anywhere from like 0.5 to somewhere around like 1, maybe a little over 1% of the population. And I think at this point they account for something like 0.1, 0.2% of mass shooters. So this idea that there is like this like outbreak of trans mass shooters is completely manufactured. If you really want to find a group of people that are overrepresented in mass shooters, one group would be Asian Americans. Asian Americans are actually pretty significantly overrepresented among mass shooters. But if you want a group that's really, really, really overrepresented in mass shooters, 97 point something percent of mass shooters are men. So, I don't know. Do with that what you will. Probably you won't do anything with it, but that's a fact. Here's another one. Here's another meme about the shooting. You got this this good Christian family. I noticed they're all blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Very interesting choice. Who are saying, a prayer for the 6 innocent lives stolen by her. And then there's these horrible, mean, ridiculous hair color, fat trans women over here who are screaming, he, him, his pronouns are he, him, through a megaphone as the poor family is trying to grieve the loss of their dead child. You know, one of these other common everyday occurrences that's always going on here. Totally realistic. I'm going to make something up, and I'm going to get so mad at that fucking thing I made up, I swear to fucking God. What are you doing here, Chelsea? The fuck are you doing? You're here to fucking steal all my shit, aren't you? Yeah, Chelsea comes in here pretending to just want to smoke weed with me and drink some water and watch me stream. But the whole time she's fucking stuffing her pockets. I'm so fucking mad. I made something up and now I'm mad at the thing I made up. Like, give me a fucking, you guys, can you fucking stop? Can you fucking stop with this shit? Huh? Maybe just fucking take a break. Take a Tuesday off. Something like that. Hey, Squeaks. Don't hit any of my equipment. What the media wants you to believe. You're a sole little red guy in a sea of blue. But then the reality is this. The whole country is a wave of red. Red as far as the eye can see. I don't know what it is. I don't know what has happened to conservative, quote-unquote, brains where they can no longer distinguish the difference between land and people. Let me explain this to you. If there are 3 people living on 100 acres of land and those 3 people are conservative, that land is red on this map, okay? Right? If there are 3,000 people living on one tiny little acre of land in like a skyscraper or something, and they're all, you know, liberal or leftist or whatever, that land is fucking blue. So, doesn't really matter how much the land votes, because the land doesn't vote. I mean, in our system, it unfortunately kind of does. Here. Why am I even explaining it? I'll just represent it fucking visually for you with this. Look, see? Here you go. Here's that big red mass. Oh, here it actually is reflected in population size. Wow. Very different picture, huh? Kind of a different fucking story there. Transgender Sussex paramedic says patients refuse her help. And then this right-winger has added this very Chad-looking sick person. You will never be a woman. Beep. They think this is an own. They think they're owning the trans woman here. Guess what, guys? Hate to tell you. The idea of like, I would rather die a hate-filled bigot than get medical treatment from the likes of you. Okay. Well, that's a little thing we call being a fucking moron. That's a little thing we call being fucking too stupid to live. Literally too stupid to live. Yeah, I guess I could take this life-saving medicine, but if it's going to be administered by a tranny, nah, beep. Goodbye, friends and family. Goodbye, promising future that I maybe had in front of me. Beep. Yeah. Let's get died to own the libs. Not even a good own either. Just like, you'll never be a woman. Beep. Well, you'll never be alive again. Beep. You win, buddy. You won. And finally, just soak this in for a minute here. And they searched for a jury of his peers, but they could find none, for this man had no equal. Look at this fucking... Look at it.
So weird.
Oh, man. Oh, they love it. Oh, God. It bears no goddamn resemblance to what this guy actually fucking looks like. It bears no fucking goddamn resemblance to what this dude's personality or IQ is actually like. I mean, like, he is a thoroughly goddamn unimpressive person. He's not smart. He can't talk. He's not witty. He's not funny other than when he's just, like, engaging in schoolyard taunts against other Republicans. He's not good looking. He's not muscular. He's not physically fit in any way, shape, or form. And yet, oh my God, he is without peer. He is the perfect specimen of man. Even in this picture where they're trying to make him look good, it looks like a fucking still image from the upcoming Mum Ra biopic. I don't know why I keep fucking comparing people to Thundercats characters, but there it fucking is. Mum Ra the younger years. Oh, God damn, my friends. God fucking damn. Rough one. That's a rough one. I'll tell you that. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Mummy's alive, huh? I remember that. I think I remember that. He's got the mummies. Yeah, yeah. Squeaks is knocking shit over, being a bad cat. Mum Ra is better looking. Yeah, yeah. Very cult behavior, I suppose. More memes that make me pissed. Why? Crowley would dominate Trump in a YouTube boxing match. Who? Crowley who? Aleister Crowley? Trump is read the Book of the Dead. I'd laugh at anyone who did this with Bernie Sanders. I like the man, but he's a representative, not my relative. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. Is I keep hearing these, like, right-wingers and shit come to me and be like, well, they're not coming to me specifically, but they're going out there into the ether, and they're saying shit like, oh, yeah? Well, if you fucking imprison Trump, we'll throw Biden's ass in jail. I'm like, oh, no, please don't. No. You bastards. We don't care. Go ahead. I don't give a shit. You gather something up on Biden, throw his ass in there. As far as I'm concerned, the more you motherfuckers throw each other in jail, the less you're fucking out here doing harm to us. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if the whole Democrat and Republican Party throw each other in jail, good. Good. You should destroy some actualized.org videos. I'll look into it. If the right could, I have no mouth, but I must scream themselves to own the libs, they would. There's just nothing they won't do, right? Dun, dun, dun. Do, 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 do. I know TJ dated someone named Kyle. Yeah, I did. And I think they probably appreciate their privacy at this point. So I appreciate you that you're trying to like make some drama out of some shit from like a million years ago. But fuck you. Any thoughts on Marianne Williamson? Yeah, she has no chance. Can we throw DeSantis in jail for actually violating the First Amendment? No. First Amendment? No. Okay. You know, Ron DeSantis really needs to stop being such a pussy. Like, I know he's in this catch-22 situation where he feels like if he attacks Trump, he's going to have all of the weight of the MAGA base against him. But like, he just needs to accept that's going to be an inevitability for a while. And if he really wants this, if he really wants the belt, if he wants the strap, if he wants to, you know, hoist the presidential fucking strap above his fucking shoulder and be like, yes, then he's going to have to fucking stop being a pussy. He's going to have to grow some balls and attack Trump. Because, you're just never, like, to watch the people that are supposed to be Trump's competitors in this Republican primary that's starting to take form, to watch them all, like, play defense for him, like, don't you feel like that kind of undercuts your case for I would be a better leader than him when you're still like his little simp? DeSantis, if he really wants to get that strap, is going to have to fucking start going after Trump. And for a while, the MAGA base is going to hate him. But he just needs to relentlessly make the case. Yeah, I get it, guys. I get why you like Trump, but he can't win. I can. That's the message he needs to put out there. But instead, he's too much of a pussy, and he's still hedging this bet. Like, oh, well, I got to figure out some way to attack Trump, but never attack Trump. I got to love Trump. I got to suck Trump's dick, but at the same time, I got to fucking beat Trump. You can't do that. It's too much of a fucking catch-22. It's impossible to fucking suck Trump's dick and defeat him at the same time. Unless you're planning on sucking his dick, and then when he's all cum dazed and shit, pushing him off a bridge. Like, yeah, now you're going in the water, bitch. He needs to take Trump out for Thai food and play the strategic game old Ronnie is known for. I mean, Trump's not going to correct him because Trump would probably also think it's pronounced Thai food. I mean, the thing is that Ron DeSantis knows it's pronounced Thai, but you pronounced it thigh on purpose just so he could find a woman subservient enough to not correct him. Whereas I think in the case of Trump, Trump actually wouldn't know that it's pronounced Thai. He would think it is pronounced thigh. So he would pass the test on the basis of just being too fucking stupid to know to correct him. The blowjob of death. DeSantis knows he's not now. He's playing the long game. He's waiting for Trump to croak at minimum. Yeah, I think he should go after Trump a little harder. A lot harder, really. If he really wants to differentiate himself. I'm kind of glad he's not doing that because I wouldn't even be giving this advice out if I thought DeSantis would actually listen to me, because he's basically fucking himself. Because guess what? All this excitement around DeSantis right now, that shit's not going to exist 4 to 8 years from now. It's just not. So I think that this is his opportunity, and he can either take it or not. But I hope he doesn't, because I truly think that DeSantis would be a much bigger threat in the general election than Trump would. The problem with both of these parties is that the base decides who gets the nomination, but the people who vote in the general election mostly are not part of that base. So yeah, the MAGAs might be super hot to trot on Trump right now because of all this stuff with the indictment, but rank and file, everyday independent voters out there who are not super party loyalists are probably going to find Trump to be too fucking fringe and too goddamn weird, especially after all that's happened. I think there is a fucking taint on him. There is a stink on him that you're never going to wash out for most people. And I don't think he has any chance in a general election unless he's up against just like the weakest, most tepid opponent ever. Like if Kamala Harris or something tries to be, you know, his opponent, then, you know, you go right ahead. TJ tried to kidnap somebody. I never tried to kidnap fucking anybody, you stupid lying piece of shit. Get the fuck out of my goddamn chat already. I've heard this narrative. It's fucking absurd. You're a fucking moron. All right? Like, that is the stupidest goddamn shit. And you're basically violating the privacy of someone who doesn't want their privacy violated just because they used to date me. So obviously you're fine, like, using other people as pawns in your sick game to try to take me down a notch. You're not going to take me down a notch, bitch. I'm going to keep rising up notch after notch after notch until I'm the king of this fucking world. So quit trying to play this little fucking gotcha game because it's not going to work. Fuck these people, man. Yeah, I know. What do you think of Sam Hyde, $1 Million Extreme World Peace? Very cool aesthetically, but iffy politically. I don't know much about any of those people. I found out recently that Sam Hyde is roughly the same height as me. And I know he's done that YouTube boxing shit. And I know that he's very right-wing. So I started thinking maybe if I ever decided to do this like YouTube to boxer trajectory, then I will fucking, maybe I'll fight Sam Hyde. I don't know. Because it seems like a lot of YouTubers become boxers now for some fucking reason. I thought maybe I could do that. Someone recently made a video about that, which is probably, yeah, I seen it. I seen the video. I saw the video by the almighty Loli. So, you know, whatever. Is DFF on tonight? No, DFF has been postponed till Tuesday. So DFF will be tomorrow. Well, Onion Nuggets will be tomorrow. Fighting Sam Hyde would be hard. Yeah, I'm assuming it would. I mean, I know he has some experience boxing, and we're roughly the same height, so I would not have some tremendous height advantage over him like I would with some other people. I don't know if Sam Hyde's right or not. Please box Sam Hyde, he'd say yes. I mean, I would have to do a lot of fucking physical conditioning before I would even be ready to throw that kind of gauntlet down. Like, I have to lose some weight. I have to get in better fucking physical shape before I could even consider throwing that idea out there. I mean, I've already thrown the idea out there, but before I actually issued a real challenge to somebody, I would definitely have to get in better shape than I am now. Or at least be on the road to getting in better shape. He's ultra right wing. Well, yeah, I've heard. You need bigger hands to box. Yeah, I don't know. My hands are not huge, but they're not like tiny. I mean, look, I'm not talking about becoming a professional boxer or something here. I'm talking about boxing another fucking YouTube person, right? I'm not talking about going up against Tyson or some shit. Just work on a 1 KO punch and hope it works before you get tired, lol. Yeah, I mean, that is a strategy, you know? There have been boxers who have employed that. They just work on like developing like a quick knockout punch, and then they just hope they get you in the first few rounds before the steam runs out. And, you know, if they don't, then, you know, they're probably going to lose in the long run. But if they can get you in those first few rounds with that devastating punch, then you fucking lose. Whoever said the bigger hands thing is dumb, lol. Are they? I don't know. Someone said you kidnapped someone. Yes. Yes, they did. Wouldn't really call Sam Hyde right wing. A lot of his stuff is trolling. I think that there's a lot of people who are like super right wing who like to like cloak it in like just jokes, bro. I don't know if he's one of those. I don't know enough about the guy to really fucking have any judgments as far as that goes. Would you go back on Joe Rogan? I guess I would. I imagine TJ having a punch with the force of 1,000 typhoons. Yes, probably not. I don't think so. I mean, you know, maybe 100. TJ versus Sam Hyde, bitch boy slap fight. I mean, Sam Hyde has actually been in a boxing match. I have not seen it. I don't know. I don't even know if he won it or not. I'm not really that interested in boxing or in YouTube boxing, but I figure if a bunch of people are doing boxing, why not? He called you the sickening faggot in this vid at the beginning. And then you have a URL. I'm not just going to go to watch a fucking video in the middle of my stream. I have shit planned that I'm going to cover. I'm not going to watch some unvetted shit in the middle of the stream just because someone talks shit. People talk shit on me all the fucking time. Mysterious is the dark side of 1,000 moons. Take the gloves off and slap him for the disrespect. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to take the gloves off mid-boxing match. I don't even think the boxer themselves can really do that. I want to see TJ box Tim Pool. I mean, that's the problem I've had with I've toyed with this idea of boxing people before. But I feel like most of the people I could box, I'd be so far out of their weight class and height, you know, so much taller, so much longer reach, so much heavier that it kind of seems like really unfair. That's why I was pretty interested to learn that Sam Hyde is like the same height as me. Are slap fights still a thing? Like the Russian ones are. The Russian ones where they take turns smacking each other in the face as hard as they can, I think still happen. Have you thought about doing convention appearances that talk about culture, art, and politics? I'm really not much for conversing with a bunch of people consecutively. I guess that I do meetups sometimes, but usually that'll be like at a bar setting. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Loser works at Dairy Queen for a year match. No way. I'm not working at Burger King for a year. Slap fights are still huge. Yeah, they're pretty fun to watch, too. I mean, assuming you're talking about the thing where they take turns. Yeah, I enjoy watching those sometimes. Like, I like to see, like, the big, meaty hand fucking shit. Sometimes you got a guy in there that clearly is not really like in the same league as the person he's going against, and he'll give that guy a smack, and the dude will just be like, and then it'll come to be his turn, and the other person will just basically do like a fucking flip in the air, like whoa. TJ, meet up at the penny slots. Send some positivity your way. Hope your day gets better and better. It always does. Every day, better and better. Always on an upward trajectory. What would be your dollar minimum for a slap fight? I don't know. I've never thought about doing that. Worst fast food restaurant? The worst one I can think of for me is Burger King. I just have like a real aversion to Burger King. I'd say box Cousin Charlie, but you probably do that at Thanksgiving already. Yeah. So when it comes to the Burger King stuff, I think the story that really cements my disgust with Burger King is, and I've told this story before, but a few years ago I was inside a Burger King. And yeah, we're probably going to do a Vegas meetup. A few years ago, I was in a Burger King, and there was a guy that was sitting at the table eating, you know, a Whopper, and he suddenly stands up, runs outside, and starts vomiting in the bushes, like violent heaving. You could hear it through the pane of glass, just. And it was fucking disgusting. And then the next thing that any of us fucking knew, he was coming back inside the Burger King, wiped his mouth, sat down at the table, and continued eating the burger. And that, I threw my burger away immediately. I could not eat after that. And ever since then, Burger King has had like an air of disgustingness that I just can't hang with anymore, you know? Please stop. I'm eating right now. Oh, God. Sorry. Why'd you guys insult Culver's on a recent Onion Nuggets? I think because Culver's was being treated a little bit too big for its britches in the estimation of my co-hosts. Now, I don't really know enough about Culver's to say one way or the other how I feel about it. There's one that's, I don't know, probably like a 30, 40-minute drive from me, but like I'm not going that distance for fast food. You know what I mean? One time a seagull pooped on my milkshake. All right. Good to know, buddy. It's because Culver sucks. I don't know. I don't know if it sucks or not. I mean, I think I've had it before. I'm not sure. I remember we were covering something and they said something about how it had, like, some people said it had the best cheeseburger of any fast food place or something like that. Hi, CJ. Hi, meow bastard. You can't insult Culver's around Midwesterners. They get very upset. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I used to live in the Midwest. I don't feel like Culver's was all that big of a deal when I lived in the Midwest, but maybe it's a recent thing or something. I don't know. Have you ever had A&W restaurant? Yeah, it's been a very long time, but I have been to an A&W. I don't know. I haven't seen one in ages. Do they still have those? I like Culver's ate deep fried cheese and went to a metal concert in Wisconsin. I mean, eating deep fried cheese before a metal concert in Wisconsin is pretty much tracks. You cannot change your gender, lol. Why not? Why can't you, Adam? Tell me why. Never had Culver's. In-N-Out Burger or Whataburger. Whataburger for me. I hate places that don't have a veggie burger. I mean, I don't really give a fuck about veggie burgers. Isn't Culver's a cheesehead thing? I don't know. I mean, there was a guy that just said that that he ate some fried cheese at Culver's before going to see a metal show in Wisconsin, so maybe. I like In-N-Out fries. They use sunflower oil, I think. I don't know. Is Dial M for Murder consider your favorite Hitchcock movie? I have not even seen Dial M for Murder, to be honest with you. I've not watched as much Hitchcock as I probably should have. My favorite Hitchcock movie of the movies that I've seen, and I really do need to watch more. My favorite of the movies I've seen has probably been Rear Window. There's a reason why so many other movies have ripped that one off, right? Went to Red Robin for the first time recently. Had a great Swiss and shroom burger. Yeah, that's Red Robin is pretty good. I figured out the secret of Red Robin too. The secret of Red Robin is that Red Robin is essentially just a fast food place with table service. That's it. Everything that you eat there just tastes like fast food, but good fast food. And there happens to be waiters and waitresses that'll give you that shit. So pretty good recipe for success. I want to bathe in Raisin Cane sauce. Yeah, I don't know how. Somehow my wife does not like cane sauce. I don't know what the hell's wrong with her. I don't know what sort of like weird short circuit has happened in her brain to where the cane sauce ain't legit, but fucking cane sauce is pretty much perfect, in my opinion. Red Robins, come. I love it. Will humans ever get beyond the gender thing? Yeah, eventually. It'll take many generations, unfortunately. We'll all be dead by the time that this shit's fucking finally gone from the goddamn discourse. I like Wendy's the best. Wendy's is so mid. I'm scared. Good, you should be. I've changed my gender 6 times before breakfast. Amen. Not till a definition is agreed upon. Same for Freddy's fry sauce. I don't really know about that. What's it going to take? What's what going to take? TJ, have you watched the Dollars trilogy films? And if so, what do you think of them? Dollars trilogy? Do you mean like the Man with No Name trilogy by Sergio Leone, or are you talking about something else? Did you have seen Machete starring Donnie Trejo? Yes. Can't comment unless I pay, apparently. Gonna go on the Sitch and Adam show again for part 2. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be on their show again at some point. I'm thinking maybe next week I'll pop on there again. Or maybe the week after. But it won't be too long. I know there's quite a few things we have to discuss, so I'll definitely pop in their show again. We have a Freddy's, but I've never been. Oh, yeah, that place. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about their sauce, but yeah, I know the place you're talking about. What do you think of Machete? I mean, I like those kind of movies in general. But I feel like the thing about Machete is it was trying too hard to be one of those movies. Whereas, you know, ideally it should be seamless, right? TJ, do a call-in stream, talk to some autistic nerds. Yeah, maybe one of these days. I've done some for patrons before, but that's like obviously a more selected group. But it would be kind of crazy to just like open up. I mean, I'd probably just get like a bunch of fucking trolls and people calling in. Someone would, I mean, it would have inevitably result in someone just screaming the N-word on my channel over and over again, right? Like that's going to be pretty much inevitable. Hey, TG, decide not to revisit the video you did on Milo. Yeah, I mean, I still have that on kind of my agenda. But there's like a few other videos I want to do. So I was thinking about maybe like doing like a sort of like thing where I look at a bunch of the older videos, not necessarily like on the stream, but as more of a like refined piece of like scripted content. So that I could like, I don't know, kind of construct something that kind of like can touch upon multiple videos. Because there's more videos out there than just that one that kind of have some like explaining to do, I think. And some sort, like, you know, something that needs like a little bit of addressing at this point. I think a lot of the like stuff in like answering questions to minorities, there's some content in there. And, you know, there's some stuff that, you know, I said about like non-binary people and shit and asexual people that probably requires some sort of addressing. So, you know, I have like a plan to eventually address all that shit, I guess. But I'm not really approaching it with a fire under my ass, honestly. But it is on my to-do list. Are you more clips from your recent Abandoned Hopes? Yeah, I mean, I have some in the mix. There's some stuff coming out from the last Abandoned Hope still. I think there's like 3 or 4 clips that I haven't released from that. Meto Kerr is dead. Okay. Good for you, bud. Good job, Joe. You done it. Some of your takes on NBs were cringe. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's certain stuff I'd like to go back and be like, okay, well, here's what I said here, here's what I think, here's what I thought then, here's what I think now. Here's the context of when I said that. You know, here's like whatever, you know, here's my mea culpa. So I'm conservative. I can't see this gender issue ever being fixed. Plus, it would destroy our culture and make us look weak to the world where culture and traditions are still valued. I mean, I think that the parts of the world where culture and tradition are still valued seem weak to me. It seems like they're too weak to move on beyond the limitations of their ancestors and walk boldly into a new frontier. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, do nations really tremble in terror at one another's ability to adhere to tradition? I mean, I don't. Not something I get too fucking caught up in. Fuck that. Let Paul and Scotty rip the awful SJW eras of videos on onion nuggets. No. I mean, they can do it if I'm not there, I guess. If I'm part of the ensemble, I'm walking out. I'm not gonna just turn my old content into fodder for them. Are you gonna do a video about how you no longer believe in the First Amendment? I don't believe in any of the amendments. I don't believe in this country. I don't believe in the United States of America. I don't believe that this idea is working anymore. If it ever did, it doesn't now. I believe in freedom of speech, but I think it needs to be. I think our conception of it needs to change pretty drastically from what it is now. I don't really think that anyone, by the way, truly believes in freedom of speech. Pretty much everyone I see believes in freedom of speech for the people they agree with and believes in brutally oppressing the people they don't. You know, I don't think that the left or the right wing at this point in American history can credibly claim to be free speech advocates, even though I see factions of both that do make that claim. To me, I think there should be censorship, but I don't think it should be along ideological lines. I think it should be along fact-based lines. I think that it should be along empirical lines. If someone states things that are empirically untrue, then that statement should be redacted from public record. That person should be censured in some way and censored. Especially now that we're more and more entering a post-truth era where, you know, information can be so easily faked and so easily disseminated. I think it's all the more important to take a stand for truth against misinformation. I think the vast majority of Americans disagree. I'm happy with the rights we have here. Yeah, but the vast majority of Americans are stupid as shit. Like, I don't have any respect for that. Majority rules don't work in mental institutions, my friend. You know what I mean? And we're living in one. Look where we are. I mean, like, if the majority of this country had a good head on their shoulders, would we really be where we are right now? I don't think so. Oh, here's the Ministry of Truth idea again. I mean, the Ministry of Truth was specifically I think this is the dumbest and most brain dead, comparison in history, because the Ministry of Truth was a propagandist wing of the government that's sole purpose was to disseminate misinformation. I'm talking about the exact opposite. I'm talking about an institution that combats misinformation. So it's pretty much the exact opposite of the Ministry of Truth. Life is one big group therapy session. Maybe for you. I'm not interested in that. No effects reference. Nice. 100. Yes. Yes. TJ and Paul are just left-wing grifters blathering on about trans topics every boring ass stream. Do you think well, here's the thing. Do you think I want to fucking talk nonstop about trans people all the time? Because I don't. The reality is that I would love to do these streams and not once have to address the trans issue, because I don't think trans people should be an issue. But guess who made them an issue? Wasn't me. Wasn't Paul. It was the right. The right wing started trying to dismantle the rights of trans people. And I'm not going to fucking just sit back and tolerate that. Especially from a group of people who claim to be freedom lovers. Fuck that shit. I'm going to take a stand against it. But do you think I want to talk about trans people all day, every fucking day? Hell no. I would much rather move on to more salient points. I would much rather move on to talk about the overarching issues of like economy and information manipulation and climate change and all that stuff. But when, you have a group of citizens whose rights are so imminently threatened and whose humanity is so immediately being put on the chopping block, you pretty much give me no choice. I can either be silent, which is as bad as complacency, silent and complacent, which is as bad as complicity, or I could be complicit, which is obviously not something I'm going to do, or I can fight tooth and nail to oppose it. And I've chosen that. But you're the one who chose that battleground, not me. I didn't want to I would never have put trans rights as the issue I wanted to fight over, because then trans people's rights are imminently and constantly in danger at that point. If trans people become the political battleground of the day, which they have, that puts trans people in danger. I would never choose to do that. But if you're going to choose to endanger trans people with your politics, then I'm going to oppose you. Because I should, because I have to. So don't fucking blame me for having to talk about trans people all the time. My hand was forced by right-wingers who literally will not shut the fuck up about it. Trans people don't need your help. They need mental help. Can we start banning some of these people, please? Do I have mods in here? You guys want to get a little bit more aggressive with that ban hammer? Can we clean this house a little bit? Can we sweep some of the fucking dirt out of the fucking door? Ugh. I don't know if TJ has merch. Not much. I might have some somewhere. I don't know. I have that book, The Douchebag Bible. I think that's still on sale. I have a bunch of them back there. I should probably do a sales push at some point. Would a Marjorie Taylor Greene gauntlet be easy? I don't really know if it'd be easy or not. I think it'd be hard to find enough of her, honestly. I don't know. Maybe there's more of her out there than I think there is. Give me a hammer, TJ. You know what? I'm going to break my rule of never giving it to someone that asks for it. Because there's an exception to every rule. There you go. TJ has a comic coming out. That's true. I do have a comic coming out. I'm sure it'll be controversial. Thank you, TJ. Getting rid of your leftover chud viewers one stream. This is not even, these people are not even my viewers. These are people who have come in here to fucking instigate shit. That never liked me, have never watched me, don't know anything I fucking say or I'm about. They're just here to fucking stir the shit pot. So they don't belong here. Get them out. Fuck them off. I don't have some kind of free speech absolutist policy in this fucking chat. That's for sure. They're the canary in the coal mine. Exactly. They're like probing me for weaknesses. Do you not think rights are illusory? I mean, of course they are to a certain extent. Sitch and Adam fans, maybe. I don't know. It could be. I don't know if they've mentioned that I'm like streaming or whatever. That could be it. Because their audience clearly fucking hates me. If you go and watch the stream that I did with them, I mean, I posted the whole conversation on my channel, and the entire time I'm talking, their chat is just going ballistic with like pants shitting ape rage at one another. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to learn that. Yelling at chuds in chat is part of the fun. Yeah, I mean, sure. Will Trump be able to keep his mouth shut if he gets put under a gag order? He can make things a lot worse. I mean, he's already made things a lot worse for himself. How do I feel about free speech laws in Canada? Should threats, incitement be illegal? Yeah, I mean, threats and incitement should probably be illegal for the most part. I think, you know, maybe like a certain level of threat, maybe you can look the other way or give someone a warning, but obviously, if you're making like constant, legitimate threats towards a person, then that should not be allowed. But as for whether Trump can shut his mouth, I mean, he's never shown the ability to shut his mouth before. So I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna do about it, really. I respect apes more. Yes, that's true. Because apes never did no one any wrong. I like giving them a couple opportunities to speak just for you to respond to them, but I'll start being more ban happy. LMFO. You do what you want. TJ's always correct, even when he isn't. All right. We have some other things I want to look at here. Let's take a look. Ratings, 60 Minutes with Marjorie Taylor Greene down 33% from last week, second episode of this season. It's good news, bad news story for 60 Minutes. Last night's much hyped show with Leslie Stahl's Marjorie Taylor Greene interview was a success and a failure. It was number one for the night among all broadcast shows, but it was the lowest number for 60 Minutes since mid-January. Total viewers came 6.66 million. I'm not kidding. In overnights. Green is Satan, so this makes sense. Hey, I feel like this is a grave insult to Satan, all right? I don't think Satan... Don't fucking mix up Satan with this Marjorie Taylor Greene shit. Now, I don't know if you guys feel the same way I do about 60 Minutes, which is I never watched 60 Minutes. It's not a show that's like on my to-watch list. But my dad used to watch 60 Minutes. And, you know, every once in a while, I'll catch a 60 Minutes interview because 60 Minutes will interview someone and it'll transcend the program. Or I'll see a 60 Minutes did, you know, a story on this, that, or the other thing, and I'll check it out and I'll watch it. So, you know, but I've always kind of had like a little bit of respect for 60 Minutes. I've always thought that they still had like some vestigial journalistic integrity. You know, like they knew that they were one of the few programs, one of the few news programs on the air that had any sort of like air of legitimacy left to it. And as far as I'm concerned, the moment that they decided to sit down across from Marjorie Taylor Greene and take her seriously is the moment that they just basically mutilated and destroyed any air, any semblance of credibility that I think they used to have. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I understand the idea that, you know, you interview notable figures, even if they're not necessarily notable figures that are agreeable. And there's a lot of crazy right-wing motherfuckers that they could have interviewed that I would have said, like, you know, the popularity of that person and the notability of that person probably transcends this argument about platforming that some people make. Like if they were to interview Donald Trump or something like that, or if they were to interview, you know, even like a you know, big right-wing strategist, like, you know, like a Steve Bannon type. But the fact that they are interviewing Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is pretty much nothing more than a loud, obnoxious, screaming voice on social media, the fact that she was able to sit across from Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes and do a 12-minute long interview. I mean, she probably did a much longer interview than that, but an interview that got cut down to an airtime of about 12 minutes. The fact that they would legitimize her in that way and you know, treat her with that degree of respect and respectability, to me, reflects very poorly on 60 Minutes as a fucking program, right? So yeah, I don't think that I don't think this is fucking acceptable for me. I mean, like, whatever, you know, it's your program. You can interview who you want to, but like, as far as I'm concerned, RIP me taking anything out of 60 Minutes with fucking any semblance of seriousness, you know? And I really, the fault is my own for thinking that any sort of mainstream journalistic program had even a shred, even a sliver of integrity to begin with. But you guys have shown me pretty clearly that any sort of idea I had that was going on there was an absolute illusion and just a holdover from my childhood, because my dad used to trust your show. My dad used to watch 60 Minutes and take it very seriously. And so some of that rubbed off on me. And I thought, like, I need to take this show a little bit seriously. But I no longer can bring myself to even remotely do that. I think it's really important for people to see how silly she is. But the problem is that by seeing her on 60 Minutes, she is instantly just like legitimized as a political figure. It doesn't matter if the interview went well or it went poorly. The fact that she was on 60 Minutes in the first place kind of legitimizes her as a mainstream national politician. And it just further cements that the Republican Party is la cucaracha. The crazy cockroach. I wanted to talk about this. So there was this guy. I think that he's called Billboard guy. And a lot of right-wingers are making a big deal about him being, quote-unquote, assaulted just for speaking his mind. So let's take a look.
Why do you think they're getting that kind of representation? I mean, it's clearly was aggressive, violent assault.
You suck. You suck. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're not wanted. Fuck you. You're a fucking idiot.
All right. So, like, right off the bat, I gotta, like, let you know that I have chosen a side. I've chosen a side in this, and it ain't the side of the dumbass in the fucking Billboard. It's the side of the fucking woman who's decided to go scream "fuck you" in this guy's face.
You're a fucking
I don't know
idiot.
what to say.
Fuck
I guess
you.
these police officers
Fuck
are
you.
mostly
You
indoctrinated
hate
as well.
Everyone here does.
They're afraid of the mob.
Because you're a
I
fucking
think-
idiot.
I think they're afraid that if they do anything to actually keep law and order,
Fuck you.
that
Fuck you.
I love how these guys trying to concentrate with this going on the side of him. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
they'll end up being on the end of this verbal abuse.
And that's true. He is only coming through the left ear.
Fuck you.
So it's just cowardice from everybody all around.
Fuck you.
People probably want to know, how do you keep your composure?
And a lot of people are joining in the "fuck you" chant now.
Fuck you.
What's that?
He's afraid. I mean, he should be. There's a large mob of people gathering around him screaming "fuck you" at this point.
How do you keep your composure?
Fuck you.
I keep your composure. He doesn't.
Fuck you.
He's not. He hasn't. He's already obviously shook. He has not kept his composure.
Fuck you.
Nothing.
Fuck you. 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 Fuck
He's popping off. Beat his ass. Beat him down. The Amazing Atheist does not endorse violence. Anyway, so you know, if you actually go look at the video, like it's been a big to-do has been made about how this guy was attacked for nothing. Now, I'm not saying it necessarily justifies beating the shit out of him and everything, but if you really look closely, you can see that, watch his hand here. He's actually going to take that hand and grab her by her clothing there, grab her by her collar, grab her by whatever the fuck this shit's called. And only then does she start throwing some fucking fists. So take a look.
Fuck you!
See that? You see it? I'll show you one more time. Watch carefully.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
See that? She was grabbed first. It was all... I'm not saying it was all in self-defense, but it was all in self-defense. So who really gives a shit? But honestly, I don't care about this video as much as everyone else does. I don't care too much about this guy one way or the other. The reason that I want to talk about this is because of this Arizona Senator Justine Wadsack. Now, she says the trans community has become enraged to a dangerous level. All right? Enraged to a dangerous level. And you might wonder, like, whatever, that's pretty standard right-wing talking point bullshit, so why am I even fucking talking about this, eh? Because oh God, I'm sorry. I should have trigger warned you guys before I put this on the screen. I don't know how I only became aware of this entity recently, but oh my God, it's fucking scary, dude. What the fuck is this thing? What the fuck is this thing? Someone said it looks like a bad, like Morticia Adams AI abomination. Like someone fucking typed into the world's worst AI generator, Morticia Adams smiling in front of, you know, Nevada backdrop or Arizona backdrop or whatever. And then it generated this thing. And then whoever fucking typed that in went and chopped their fingers off so they could never type again. I mean, like, I saw some transphobes in my audience a minute ago making fun of this trans woman. You know, but like, this trans woman passes as a woman better than this cis woman who hates trans people. Oof. Like, what in the fuck am I goddamn looking at here? The longer I look at it, the scarier it becomes. Woof. Morticia Adams dollar store plastic Halloween mask. I want to show you some memes from her channel too. Look at her feed here. This is what we are fighting for in the Senate. Our children. Why have my Senate bills made the wolves angry? I am over the target. Fight with me. And this is this lamb is our children. And then these wolves are the NWO, the World Health Organization, LGBTQ propaganda, the mainstream media, pedophilia, big pharma, and World Economic Forum. All of them trying to rip that poor little lamb apart. But thankfully, you have Arizona Senator Demon Face to the rescue. I mean, like, are you really going to believe that this person has good intentions? Does anybody, like, if you saw this at, like, the foot of your bed at night, would you not die of sheer fright? Like, you really want to tell me that a person who looks like this is anything other than the fucking pure embodiment of evil on the face of the earth? I mean, come the fuck on. And her name is Wadsack. Justine Wad sack.
She'll drag you to hell and you'll never come back if you call out, "Wad sack, wad sack, wad sack."
What's wrong with the NWO? I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with them. Something, I guess. They're trying to eat this little lamb. And I guess, I mean, that's really all there is to say. I mean, like, you look at her Twitter, it's all just, you know, your typical right-wing bullshit. You know, we hate trans people. We hate we hate disease prevention. We hate all that's good. We love all that's evil. You know, typical Republican fucking talking points. But holy shit, it's coming from this. It's coming from this. Oof. I don't want her anywhere near my sack. Yeah, no shit. Tucker Carlson's got some stuff to say. Let's hear him out.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. It was just last week that we noticed that parts of the transgender movement seem to be getting militant and possibly dangerous. We did a whole segment about it on Thursday night. That segment was sparred by an NPR segment we had heard and never expected to hear. NPR has always, as a matter of editorial policy, completely opposed the civilian ownership of firearms, with the possible exception of maybe IRS agents.
I don't even think that's true, by the way. I think that while NPR is pretty, you know, lib left and they've been in favor of gun control, I've never heard. I mean, to be fair, I have not listened to reams and reams of NPR, but I've listened to enough NPR to get a pretty good sense of what they stand for. And I'm pretty sure that while they might advocate for some forms of gun control, I've never heard them say that people should not be allowed to own guns. I've never heard them say that all guns should be confiscated. I've never heard them say that, you know, no one should be allowed to own one. So I feel like that's pretty intense hyperbole coming from Tucker right now. Now, if someone has some information that I'm unaware of, I'm more than happy to admit that there is a possibility that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that has, maybe NPR does take that editorial stance, but I'm pretty sure they do not. And by the way, finding any one commentator that might have said something is not enough. You need to show me evidence that that is not just the contention of a commentator on NPR, but of NPR itself, that guns should just be banned. Pretty sure that's not it. I don't know how many people who are in my chat right now might be NPR listeners, but if any of you guys are, I'm pretty sure you know that that's not NPR's stance.
Yet here suddenly was that very same station, National Public Radio, positively urging trans people to buy guns, as many guns as possible, and if necessary, to use them. The world is dangerous, explained one trans gun owner. You have to be dangerous back.
How is this now such a problematic position? Because this has been the right-wing justification and pretext for owning guns forever. Why do right-wingers own guns? I'm pretty sure right-wingers own guns because they have them for protection in case shit pops off. I don't understand. So if a cis white dude is like, I need guns to protect myself and my family, then it's like, well, that's understandable. But if a trans person's like, I need guns to protect myself and my family, all of a sudden Tucker Carlson's like, wait a minute now, what the hell's going on here? Right? Also, I fucking severely doubt once again that NPR explicitly said that like trans people need to own guns. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a piece on trans gun ownership, but I seriously doubt that the message of that piece was that every trans person should get as many guns as possible, because that would be extremely weird. It would be extremely weird for NPR to take an editorial stance that strong on anything. Like, have you ever listened to NPR before? It's not known for its like incendiary rhetoric, okay?
And that seems strange to us. Is the United States really a dangerous place for trans people? Well, what?
I love how this guy has no trouble buying into the notion that the United States is a dangerous place for white men, but is like incensed and perplexed by the idea that it could be dangerous for trans people.
Baltimore is dangerous. You could easily get murdered there. But
you could easily get murdered anywhere. Anywhere there are humans, you could get murdered. I understand there's places where it's statistically more likely than others, but hey, it's possible anywhere there's people. Remember, even in the Bible, when there was only 4 people on the fucking earth, one of them murdered another. So
if you're trans in this country, obviously there are many downsides, but there do appear to be some benefits. It's a lot easier to get into Harvard, for example. It's definitely easier to get a job at Citibank or in the Biden White House.
Is that my mistake? Is that why I never went to Harvard? I should have been trans.
If you're transgender can so much as fly a kite, the Pentagon will happily make you an F-35 pilot. Is
that true? That's the only thing. I want to be an F-35 pilot. No, you're not qualified. All you know how to do is fly kites. Yes, but I am trans. Oh, well then right this way. It's another one of these things where people start like making shit up to get mad at.
So Hollywood can make a movie about it. Identifying as trans, whatever, again, its downsides, does convey status in this country, which is why so many young people now...
I mean, it might convey status to some people, but I think that for every person it conveys status to, there's probably something like 3 people who are like incensed and enraged by it. And then there are probably 10 people who don't give a fuck, right? Because if you really fucking... I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are polls on this, and maybe I should go look at them instead of just guessing, but I'm just going to guess based on my own, like, sense of the vibes of the country that the vast majority of people really don't give a fuck about trans people one way or the other. And then there are right-wingers who absolutely seethingly hate trans people. And then there are some on the left who even hate trans people. And then there are some left-wingers and other compassionate people who like and care about trans people. But the vast majority of people don't care one way or the other. Trans people get their acceptance completely and utterly. The majority of the country be like, oh, yeah, cool, whatever. Yeah, good. Nice, good for them. Trans people are marching to camps. Oh, man, it sucks, bro. That's it. That's the majority of this country, in my estimation.
Not a lot of 19-year-olds are pretending to be car mechanics or linemen for a regional power company in eastern Ohio, but plenty of college freshmen do pretend to be members of the opposite sex. And why wouldn't they? The people in...
Oh, yeah, trans for all those sweet, sweet benefits. The trans benefit package. This is a pretty old take, by the way. You used to see it attributed more to being gay. You know, I remember there was a right-wing dude I used to know that used to make the joke, you know, that only a small percentage of gay people are born gay. The rest of them are sucked into it. Get it? Sucked into it, right? And so this attitude has been around for a fucking hot minute, but now you see it more for trans people than you do for gay people. The idea that someone is going to go through transitioning just because of all the amazing perks that it fucking bestows upon you, right? You know what I mean? Because it's so awesome being trans that, you know, obviously people are faking it left and right. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not how it goes. Trans people in my audience, is that how it goes? You let me know.
In charge despise working class whites, but they venerate the trans community.
Despise working class whites, but love the trans community. I mean, like, no, not really. I feel like no one despises working class whites. People despise conservatives because they're hateful and stupid. And a lot of them happen to be working class whites. But if a working class white person is a reasonable, nice, compassionate, loving person, I don't have a problem with that. They're fine in my eyes. I don't judge anyone for being a working class white person. I judge someone for being a fucking hate-mongering bigot piece of shit.
People are just responding to incentives. It's rational in a way. But that does not explain the anger that we heard in that NPR segment. Why are some trans people so...
Can we hear this segment? Do I have to go watch this segment to know the context of this? Or can I just safely assume that Tucker is misrepresenting it? I'm pretty sure I can just safely assume Tucker is misrepresenting it, right?
So angry, and why do they seem to be mad specifically at traditional Christians? We can't think of any trans person who's ever been murdered by a pastor.
Really? Really? You can't? I'm pretty sure that the majority of trans people who've ever been murdered have at least been murdered de facto by a pastor somewhere along the lines. I'm pretty sure that a lot of trans people who've been murdered have probably been murdered by you somewhere along those lines. Because if someone is conditioned to hate a person by rhetoric that is constantly, fomenting hatred against them, then everybody who participates in that hatred is, bears some responsibility for that death. So, I know that, you can't necessarily be charged with that because there has to be the freedom to state your opinions. I think that freedom to your own opinions is an inherently good idea. Freedom to lie, I think, is an inherently bad idea. So I'm never going to back down from that position, by the way. I'm never going to back down from my quote-unquote ministry of truth position that, yeah, no opinion should be censored, but lies should be. But, just because you can't be held criminally liable for spewing hatred against a group of people and then that group of people experiencing a higher rate of murder than other groups of people, just because you can't be criminally charged with that doesn't mean that you're not somewhat responsible. And so, yeah, I don't know if there's been a case in American history where someone who is a pastor has gone and murdered a trans person, but there have been plenty of cases where a pastor has preached vileness against trans people, and then that has reached the ears of some unstable person that does go and murder a trans person.
As far as we know, that has never happened. So it's not an actual threat of violence from Christians that's inspiring some trans people to buy AR-15s. No, it's got to be more fundamental than that, and it is. The trans movement is the mirror image of Christianity, and therefore its natural enemy.
So this would be an example of the line of rhetoric that gets trans people killed, right? So you go to your audience, predominantly of Christians, and you tell them that the natural enemy of the Christian is the trans person. So what does that do for trans people? Does that make their lives easier, or does that make their lives harder? Of course it makes their lives harder. And for some Christians, they're going to take it way further than just making their lives hard. They're going to say like, hey, this, and you have on your screen right now, you have transgender killer targets Christian school. And then as you have this image of transgender killer targets Christian school on the screen, you say transgender people are the natural, transgenderism or whatever you said is the natural enemy of Christianity. And so don't you think you're kind of sending a message like, oh yeah, it's time for some reprisals then? If these trans people are going to kill us, maybe it's time we kill them. Don't you think that's kind of implied when you say something like that with this image on the screen? I mean, maybe that's not your intent. I'll be fucking characteristically more charitable than I actually feel and say maybe that's not your intent. But even if it's not your intent, don't you think that someone could take it that way? Don't you think maybe you shouldn't put that out there in the zeitgeist? I don't know.
In Christianity, the price of admission is admitting that you're not God. Christians openly concede that they have no real power over anything, and for that matter, very little personal virtue. They will tell you to your face that they are sinful and helpless and basically absurd. They're not embarrassed about any of this. They brag about it. That saved a wretch like me, goes the most famous Christian hymn ever written in English. The trans movement takes the opposite view.
It's on the level of popular atheist threats to beat me up, yes.
Trans ideology claims dominion over nature.
Lol, TJ became a literal liberal stereotype. Ha ha ha. I'm not even a liberal, bro. You guys, you need to... I'm sorry. If you want to call me a leftist, if you want to say I'm a leftist stereotype, I'll accept that. You want to call me a liberal stereotype? You're wrong about that. You don't even know what a liberal is, bro. Shoosh.
Itself. We can change the identity we were born with, they will tell you with wild-eyed certainty. Christians can never agree with this statement because these are powers they believe God alone possesses.
All right, well, that's fine. If you want to believe that God alone possesses those powers, first of all, not all Christians believe the same thing. Second of all, If you want to believe God alone possesses those powers, that's fine. That's your belief. You can have that belief, but your belief doesn't get to take precedence over other people's beliefs. You're supposed to live in a country where all beliefs are treated pretty much equally. Tucker Carlson is what TJ calls a member of the exploiter class. Yeah, this rhetoric leads to trans people dying or being oppressed, but at least Economos is pleased. Yeah. I mean, he is an exploiter. He is a user. He is a fomenter. That's what he is.
That unwillingness to agree, that failure to acknowledge a trans person's dominion over nature, incites and enrages some in the trans community.
No. Like, okay, I don't know what's so hard about this. Here's the idea, guys. You guys can have your own beliefs, but at the end of the day, you respect others and their beliefs. And in turn, your beliefs get the respect they deserve as well, which is that we all respect the right of other people's beliefs to exist. That's it. You can think their beliefs are stupid. They can think your beliefs are stupid. But what you don't do is fucking foment the idea that, like, we are natural enemies and they are at war against us and they hate our values and they will stop at nothing to destroy us. So, of course, it's only rational that we are in our hands have been forced. It's only rational that we must destroy them first. We didn't want to do it, but we have no choice.
People who believe they're God can't stand to be reminded that they're not. So Christianity and transgender orthodoxy are wholly incompatible theologies.
Not really. I mean, there's plenty of trans people who are Christian. There's Christian trans people. They manage to make it work. It's because they're not wholly incompatible theologies. I mean, one's not even a fucking theology to begin with, but, like, let's just for the sake of argument say it was. They wouldn't be incompatible theologies, quote unquote.
They can never be reconciled. They are on a collision course with each other. One side is likely to draw blood before the other side. That's what we concluded last week.
If you think that the first blood in this conflict between trans people and Christians was what happened last week, then you're a fucking idiot. Like, trans people have been murdered at a higher rate for a while now. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of that has to do with Christian orthodoxy. So I'm pretty sure that, you know, if there was first blood drawn here, I'm pretty sure it was drawn by Christians. But I don't even want to support the narrative of trans versus Christian, because there's no reason trans people should hate Christians, and there's no reason Christians should hate trans people. Like, first of all, as you said, Christianity is supposed to teach that we're all sinners, right? So none of us measure up in the eyes of God. So you're not supposed to be going there casting judgment and aspersions at the trans people just because their understanding of God is or their understanding of the world is different than yours. Second of all, trans people do not believe, there's nothing about being trans that leads you to deny God. There's nothing about that. Like, you can be trans and be an atheist, you can be trans and be a Christian, you can be trans and be a Jew, you can be trans and be a Muslim. There's plenty of things you can be trans and still believe in certain religious doctrines. Now, personally, I don't think anyone should believe these religious doctrines because I think they're all fucking stupid and backwards and lead to terrible outcomes. But if you want to believe them, I'm not going to necessarily stop you. I might stop you from propagating them because a lot of lies are required to transmit religious doctrine from one mind to another. A lot of coercion and exploitation as well.
Yesterday morning,
but I mean, ultimately, your beliefs are your own.
Tragically, our fears were confirmed. A self-identified trans person called Audrey Hale committed mass murder at a Christian school in Nashville. Hale burst into a place called the Convent School and executed 3 9-year-olds as well as 3 adults. Police have released body cam footage from the end of the massacre. We're showing you just a small part of it. You can see the rest online if you want. We're not going to show it because that's too awful and sad. But what was almost as sickening to see in a far more subtle and insidious way was the media coverage of yesterday's tragedy. Here's Terry Moran of ABC News, for example, suggesting that Christians were murdered in Tennessee because they infringed on the rights of transgendered people. Why?
They did. Christians in Tennessee did infringe on the rights of transgender people. Now, is that justification for this attack? Obviously, it's not. But could it explain it? I think in part it could. I mean, like, looking into the motives of a killer shouldn't be controversial. You know, like, if a black man pre-civil rights era killed a bunch of white people in the Deep South because they make him, and they left a manifesto like, they made me drink at a separate fountain, and I wasn't allowed to ride the front of the bus and all this stuff, and I just got sick of it, and I decided to take out my oppressors. Would that justify that black man wantonly slaughtering a bunch of random white people? No. But would his motive make perfect sense? Yeah. Yeah, it would. And pointing out that, you know, there is a motive there, that maybe society contributed to the creation of that motive in some way, that shouldn't be controversial. That should be a facts don't care about your feelings kind of moment, right?
Watch.
Audrey Hill was identified herself as a transgender person. State of Tennessee earlier this month passed and the governor signed a bill that banned.
Did him being trans have anything to do with the attack? Did he have a manifesto or something? We don't know. I mean, we know there is a manifesto. So when it comes to this attack, we know that a manifesto exists. But for some fucking reason, Audrey Hale did not release this manifesto. They had a copy of the manifesto at their house, and I guess that they expected the police to release it for them. That's not how it goes. If you want your manifesto to be read, you got to put that shit on 4chan or something before you do the attack. That's how you get it. But, you know, if you're not going to do that, then yeah, no one's going to read it. Maybe eventually they'll leak the manifesto to it, or they'll leak us snippets of it. But as of now, we haven't had a whiff of this manifesto. We don't know what the hell the motive was. We don't know why the hell they did this shit. So pretty much what Tucker is doing is the same thing I'm doing, which is just fucking speculating about something we have no idea about, because that's the most we could do in lieu of any sort of actual, you know, evidence. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe some of that manifesto will make its way into the public sphere. Maybe all of it will. And then we can read and judge for ourselves what the hell was going on with this person.
Transgender medical care for minors, as well as a law that prohibited adult entertainment, including male and female impersonators, after a series of drag show controversies in that state.
Yeah. I don't think that guy, that really didn't strike me as that other guy being like, man, I guess these Christians had it coming for doing all that anti-drag show shit, huh? Like, he's explaining the political context that this event happened under. That shouldn't be controversial. That shouldn't be offensive to you, like, at all.
The state of Tennessee bans the sexual mutilation of children. Children get shot to death in a school. It's cause and effect. That's what ABC News is.
No, no one fucking said any of that, you goddamn weird little man, dude. Come on. You know that's not what was said. You're such a weirdo. You're such an exploitative fuck.
Telling you. That's not far from justifying mass murder. But others took the next step. A group called the Trans Resistance Network said that the shooter's death was a complex tragedy that resulted from, quote, anti-trans bias. The Hershey chocolate.
I mean, we don't know. Like, at this point, we just don't know enough to know. The facts that we are aware of, we can form narratives with. But we really don't have that many facts. If we were to know the contents of this person's manifesto, or this person, some people are saying now that it's not a manifesto, but just a diary. If we knew a little bit more about why this person did it, if they had some stated motives, if it's obvious that they had some sort of like deeper psychological underpinnings to their motives, then we could fucking speculate what caused this, and we could have arguments about it. But in lieu of any of that, I think it's just premature to make any sort of like statement one way or the other.
Chocolate company's new trans spokesman, meanwhile, someone called Faye Johnstone, posted messages after the shooting.
Why is this dude always freaking out about fucking chocolate? I never understand why. Like, he got super butthurt when the green M&M changed her boots. And now he's super upset that Hershey's dare have a trans woman in their Canadian ad campaign. Like, why is that always why is there always some kind of weird shit with right-wingers and candy?
Complaining about, quote, trans misogyny. In Canada, a taxpayer-funded trans rights organization put out a statement that ignored the murder of the children in Nashville entirely and instead claimed that there has been a, quote, exponential rise in anti-trans violence.
Well, has there been? Because those are not mutually exclusive. Like, you can still, like, a trans person shooting up a school and there being an exponential rise in violence against trans people, those could both be happening at the same time. Not one does not discount the other in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know what the point of that line of rhetoric is supposed to be.
That is a lie. It's a provable lie. And in fact, the
All right, prove it wrong then.
opposite is true. We seem to be watching the rise of trans terrorism. The man who tried to murder...
So no actual stats then? I mean, look, when I'm doing this shit, I'm just reacting. I'm just watching something I've never fucking seen before and reacting to it off the fly and off the cuff. And I always try to, like, put that forward to people to do their own research, and that sometimes I might say shit wrong. But you are a broadcast journalist on the news with, I'm assuming, like a research team and shit, right? So you should be able to, you know, to do fact checks, and you should be able to quickly sling statistics at me and tell me their source and all that stuff. So, but instead of doing that, you're just like, nope, not true. Not true. What is true is it seems to be a rise of trans people attacking us. What? And also, I think the term trans terrorism, pretty bold term for a crime, once again, that we don't even know the motive for.
Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, after the repeal of Roe v. Wade, identified as a, quote, trans gamer girl. The man who shot up a nightclub in Colorado...
Hey, someone in the chat just said, holy shit, I think I'm on the verge of a fucking mental break and I might have to leave. Hey, if you're feeling that way, go on ahead, and you can come back and watch this shit later when you're feeling more up to it. This stream ain't going nowhere. This clip ain't going nowhere. So, you know, if you need to take a little mental health break, go off and go do something else for a minute, go ahead and do it. You know, open up your sketch pad and draw some fucking birds or something, or go play a video game, or go do some yoga or whatever the fuck you like to do.
In this past November.
No reason to fucking torture yourself with this shit if you're not up to it at the moment.
And murdered 5 people identified as non-binary. And now this. And they're still using that guy that was 100% lying about being non-binary. Like, I guess that's all you have to do. You can be a crazy right-winger, and there can be a mountain of evidence that you hate gay people. But all you have to do is, after you shoot a bunch of gay people, just say, like, I'm non-binary. And they're like, oh, see, look, non-binary killer. It's like, wait, what? Are we sure they're not doing a psyop? Are we sure they're not lying? All the evidence seems to say they are. Nope, we're just going to run with it. We're going to run with the killer's narrative, even though that's stupid. Could be more. Antifa has announced this coming Saturday is the, quote, Trans Day of Vengeance. Vengeance for what? That's not explained. But the suggestion is there will be violence in Washington this weekend.
There wasn't.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted about this today.
All right. That's enough Tucker, I think. When I hear I refuse to talk anymore about Marjorie Taylor Greene today. So here's Matt Walsh. I came to the conclusion years ago that the trans movement is the greatest evil our country faces. I only become more and more sure of this fact with each passing day, and more determined to oppose it until my last breath. You know, this is yet another example of these right-wingers, like, of all the things going on in this country, of all the things that are happening in this country and in this world right now, these people have decided that trans people are the greatest evil out there. You know, you have religious institutions that are, you know, sexually exploiting their parishioners. You have, beyond even stuff like that, you have climate change. You have shrinking wages, have skyrocketing inflation, you have union busting, you have people struggling to put food on the table, you have war going on in between Ukraine and Russia, and other conflicts across the globe, and U.S. doing drone strikes in nations across the globe. You have sex trafficking and people being trafficked for cheap labor. Like most of the seafood we consume is caught by slaves. Most of the chocolate we eat is picked by slaves. Most of the diamonds we wear are mined by slaves. You have brutal systems of exploitation that treat people horribly. You have a medical system that doesn't care about producing good health outcomes as much as it cares about producing good financial outcomes for the shareholders and insurance companies. I mean, there's a million and one things you could point to. I mean, we have one of the worst. We have the highest per capita prison population of any place. You have rising crime, drug dealing. I like drug dealing personally, but even that would be a more legitimate thing to point to as an evil. At least there's a downside. But you have rapists and murderers and all these fucking things going on, and this guy is going to tell his audience that the most evil, the greatest evil going on in our country today is trans people. And then they're going to act like, oh, did I incite violence? No, I never incited violence. I simply said that trans people are the greatest evil ever and that I'm willing to die to oppose them. Does that incite violence? No. Yeah, it kind of does, man. I'm kind of sick of it. What else we got? This is our last this is our last anti-trans thing we're gonna look at. This is more anti-drag queen, I guess, but it delves into trans stuff too.
We are fighting a spiritual battle, and they are coming at us in all facets.
Someone just asked, you blanket statement like drug dealing. Really? Yeah, I do. I like drug dealing. I think that drugs should be legal for everybody to consume. I think most of the detriments from drug dealing come from the fact that it's been forced to be a black market product. I think that my contention is borne out if you look at the amount of violence surrounding alcohol during the Prohibition era. When you take a product that people want and you make it illegal, then the only way for people offering that product to compete with each other is through, the enforcement of violence against one another, because there's no state apparatus like the courts or the police to sort of moderate the conflict.
Is drag queens being shown to our children at 3 years of age, and people think it's cute, or they're just trying to make them grow up and not hate drag queens. But it's a deeper battle than that. It's an access, it's a portal, and they are opening our children up to be infected with these perverse spirits, so that by the time they are 8, 9, 10, this spirit of perversion will start coming in them as their hormones kick in, and then they want to cut off their genitalia. So it is not harmless. It is a possession exercise, and the church and the people, we need to know that.
So the idea is that drag queens open up a portal to hell that allow demons through the portal so that they can then possess the brains of the children, so that when their hormones kick in around puberty, they're suddenly overwhelmed by the urge to chop their genitals off. I mean, does this sound even remotely rational? Does this sound even remotely like the intelligent position of a person to be taken seriously? And yet it is taken seriously by a huge swath of this country, which is why, for me, it's pretty much impossible to have respect for the everyday person. A lot of people say that everyone has a certain degree of automatic respect, and that they have to do something to lose it. For me, in my book, you have to do something to fucking earn it. You start at 0. And, you dig your grave from there. This woman is now Sub-Zero. Not the cool one from Mortal Kombat. My respect for her is Sub-Zero. And she would have to do a hell of a lot to get it back into the positive. Not that she needs to care about my respect in particular. Although maybe in the long run, she does need to. I came in the spirit of perversion. She liked it. Yeah, the spirit of perversion does like when you do that, for sure. I'm sure when you resume the video, TJ, she will cite peer-reviewed scientific sources confirming her claims. I'm sure you're right about that. Unfortunately, it seems like the mainstream media seems to have cut that out. Unfortunately, we're not going to have access to that part, but I'm sure that if we saw the rest of what she said, I'm sure we'd find that she was actually being very empirical and scientific with her claims. I'm sure that she's not just like a lying psycho bitch with delusions of grandeur. I have a right to be disgusted by any behavior used by the human cows, whether you think it's reasonable or not. I agree with you there. I mean, look, no one can control anyone else's personal feelings. That's just the end of the day. You can say what you want to say. You can have the fart fights. You can have the fights you want to have. But, people are going to believe what they believe. People are going to feel the way they feel. People are going to think the way they think. And, you might be able to persuade them otherwise. But ultimately, if someone wants to be disgusted by trans people, they're going to be disgusted by trans people. If someone wants to be disgusted by Christians, they're going to be disgusted by Christians. But what I would advocate is maybe look past just like a visceral emotional reaction to something and actually try to formulate a reasonable position based on evidence, based on some sort of like principles, some sort of code. Even if it's one you've developed entirely on your own, better than nothing. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are guided not by anything other than just like knee-jerk reactions to things. And I've even seen people defend that idea. I've seen people say like, you should never deny your instincts. Well, yeah, you probably should. Because there's nothing about the human brain that makes every instinct that enters into our heads automatically correct. There's nothing about your disgust response that automatically tells you what you need to know about a thing. Like, I was disgusted by guacamole for a long time. And then I tried it, and I realized, like, oh, it's actually pretty good. This is why theists shouldn't be allowed to vote. They can't tell reality from fantasy. I mean, we can get into that discussion at some point in the future. But, I agree with you that they do seem to have a tough time with that, though. But anyway, yeah, this weird trans panic that seems to exist in right-wing circles is nothing good. It doesn't seem to generate anything good. It doesn't seem to create anything positive for this or any other culture. So I think it should be rightly and justly combated, as hard as possible. Is the persecution of LGBTQ plus people by Christianity and other religions predicated on the idea that it is a choice? Yes. By and large, yes. They believe that, if you're trans, then you have some sort of moral failing. I do want to once again, just for the sake of nuance, point out, though, that there are Christian trans people. And there are Christians who accept trans people who are not trans themselves. There are people who are trans and Christian. So, yeah, it's pretty absurd to think that there is just like no cross-section between these two groups and that they're somehow natural enemies. I asked my mom for proof of God, and she said just look around, like I would see him standing in a shady corner or something. Oh, yeah, there he is. Holy shit. When you pick up a firearm and put holes in people, don't expect the the reaction you expected. It's kind of a paradox. See, that would be another example of one of these things that's like trying to sound like wisdom that maybe some people would go, oh. But ultimately, that doesn't really mean anything. Expect the unexpected. I mean, it's a line from the Tiny Toon Adventures theme song. That's about all it amounts to me. What if the reaction I expected was the person with holes in them to die? Good point. God is one of the... if all art is political, then what exactly are the political leanings of Pong, Tetris, or Minecraft? The political leanings of Pong... Pong is basically a representation of the duopoly in American politics. The ball is the average voter just bouncing back and forth between the two parties, not realizing that neither of the Pong paddles or the political parties have its best interests at heart. And, you know, that it's just a pawn piece to be bounced back and forth across the table as they each try to sneak something past the other. Tetris. Tetris is all about the American ethos of endless labor. I mean, it came from Russia, but I believe it's a critique of American capitalism, how, you know, you just endlessly do a repetitive task until it gets harder and harder until eventually you can no longer do the task and you fail, at which point you are no longer useful and the game is over. I don't remember, what was the other one? Frogger? Frogger was about the inevitable... I don't even have one for Frogger, sorry. But Tetris and Pong. There you go. Carlson and other right-wing propagandists are trying to create a war between transgender people and Christians. I mean, I think that's the impression I got. I got the impression not that there exists this great battle between trans people and Christians. I didn't get this impression they're natural enemies. I got the impression that Tucker Carlson is trying to sell the idea that they're natural enemies in order to make his Christian audience more hateful towards trans people, because he benefits from a climate of division, hate, and tension. Pong isn't art. I don't care. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Frogger is about car-centric society. Yes, that's true. Frogger is about keeping you in your place. If you try to cross the road, you'll be run over. So just sitting there in your designated area. Frogger is about the turmoil and competition that the working class puts themselves through for an unachievable goal. I mean, the goal in Frogger is achievable, though. Tetris is not... like, you can't beat Tetris. But you can beat Frogger. My butt is art. Good. Good for you. Are you wearing pants? Yes, I'm wearing blue jeans. That's what I'm doing. I'm wearing the bluest jeans you've ever seen. I want to show you this, guys. Check this out. You guys might have seen this. I think this is actually supposed to be part of the section, so my bad.
Which do you think are more dangerous, drag shows or guns to children?
Drag shows.
Drag shows. How many people do you think have been killed at a drag show?
I don't know, but the long-term effects are detrimental.
How many people do you think die every year from guns?
I have no idea.
48,000.
48,000? Yeah. Okay. Well, there's probably 100,000 that die from drag shows.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right. That makes sense. About 100,000 that die from fucking drag shows. That seems like a reasonable fucking thing to put out there in the world, right? Yeah, there's probably like 100. Probably like 100 fucking thousand people that die from drag shows. If 48,000 children die from guns, must be 100,000 that die from drag, right? Like, how the fuck? Like, he just wanted a number to beat that number. Like, he said, like, I don't know. And then he was told 48,000. And he's like, well, 100,000 then. You just pulled that number out of your ass, though. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. Like, I think the actual death toll from drag shows is probably roughly 0. I don't know. Maybe if you count like right-wingers who die of a heart attack when they see a person in drag, maybe there's a slightly higher death toll there. But by and large, I'm pretty sure there's no one dies from the drag show. So unless we get a new era of drag queens that literally start brandishing guns and shooting people, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. What are your thoughts about the age of the trans person doing the operation? What would be your cutoff point? I mean, it depends on the operation. If you're talking about like bottom surgery that's like irreversible, I think you definitely want to make sure that person, you know, is 100% certain. As for what age that should be, I don't know that it's up to me to determine that. I think that you want to trust that kind of decision to the experts in, you know, psychiatric development. You know, psychologists, psychiatrists, mental health professionals, counselors, you know, parents, the trans person themselves, whoever else is, you know, is part of the process. I'm not comfortable throwing out some random number into the ether because I don't fucking know. But I definitely don't think it should be a decision that's made lightly. Because, you know, something that's irreversible. I mean, like when you're talking about like a social transition, that can be put, you know, you can push that back. Even when it comes to stuff like, you know, puberty blockers and things like that, you know, it might not be 100% reversible, but it's largely reversible. But when it comes to something like, you know, a bottom surgery or mastectomy or something like that, those things can be pretty hard to, you know, reverse or impossible to reverse. So you definitely don't want to make those decisions with any semblance of lightness. You want to put a lot of thought into that and do your due diligence. I am a victim of drag. Yes, of course. I want to show you this too. This is another murder statistic for you.
Regarding gun violence and gun violence being the #1 cause of death of children in America today. You'll hear that a lot. Let me correct both. There's no such thing as gun violence. There's only human violence.
That's not true. Other animals can be violent, for instance. Lions are never violent. Pretty sure they are. So you really want to get nitpicky about this. There's definitely violence that doesn't come from humans. But assuming you're talking just about violence caused by humans, like we call the violence done by people with guns gun violence. We have lots of modifiers you can use for different types of violence. Like when someone stabs a person with a knife, we call it like a knife attack or knife violence. When someone fucking autoerotic asphyxiates themselves, we have a term, like we have terms and categories for violence. You know, there's different kinds. It's not all just like, it's all just human violence. I guess in like a broadly insipid way, that's true. But there's like, what is your issue with specifying what the violence was done with? You know? In any other human endeavor, the tools you use kind of play a part in what you did and how you did it, right? So
it's intellectually unsound to state otherwise.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, Mr. Higgins.
And the #1 cause of death for children, you know,
guns, 48,000.
America,
guns, 48,000.
Remains,
guns, 48,000.
Abortion.
Oh, yeah, abortion, right. Well, I don't think you can call it abortion. You just got to call it human violence. You know what I mean? Let's not call it abortion. Let's just call it what it is, human violence, because we can't possibly distinguish one form from another, right? By your own reasoning. This idea that like abortion is murder is so, like, I just wish it would go the fuck away. It's so clearly goddamn not. Can we just fucking cut to the fucking, the heart of this? You know, a human being is sentient. A human being is self-aware. A human being has feelings and thoughts and opinions. A fetus does not meet most of those benchmarks. Maybe there is, maybe there's some feelings. I don't know. But there's certainly no self-awareness. There's certainly no sentience. No one remembers being a fucking fetus. No one can recall what it was like to be in the womb. Because you're not yet a fucking person. You're not yet fully realized. And for the same reason that there's nothing wrong with pulling the plug on a vegetable, there's nothing wrong with terminating a fucking pregnancy. Okay? They just don't meet the benchmark of sentience necessary for it to constitute fucking murder. And that's that. And if you say, well, they would have eventually, then you'd have to say that about every fucking sperm, every fucking egg. And we don't feel that way because we know that's ridiculous. It's no less ridiculous to feel that way about a fetus. Okay? There you go. There's my fucking argument. It's perfect. It's flawless. It's brilliant as usual. All right. We're going to listen to Lauren Boebert now because why the fuck not? Why stop the torture?
It's past time House Democrats start to have a little empathy and dismount their moral high horse.
Man, I gotta just say. Remember earlier when I was talking about how I hate men and women? This is why I hate women, all right? The guy before is why I hate men, and this chick, she's why I hate women. Like, how can you possibly stand to listen to this person fucking talk? Are you talking to me? Are you trying to convey something to me? Or are you just nattering? Because I can't even hear words. All I hear is just the sound of pure nagging. I don't like it. I don't want it. Please go away.
Of climate change, there are thousands of children currently, today, slaving away in the Congo at Chinese-owned mines. They have to dig for cobalt with their bare hands.
Yeah, and they're also doing it with chocolate, and they're also doing it with diamonds, and they're also doing it with other fucking resources that you don't give a shit about, and they're also making your sweaters, and they're also catching your fish, and they're also doing a bunch of other shit. And guess what? Your outrage is extraordinarily fucking selective about this shit, isn't it? Like, if Lauren Boebert was a tireless and relentless advocate for stopping the exploitation of, workers across the globe, then I would be 100% in her corner. But to selectively use this little, like, to take a little nugget of truth and to use it selectively as a cog in, this vast, machine of conspiracy against you that you've, cultivated out of thin air. That sort of thinking can go fuck itself as far as I'm concerned.
Instead of freeing these slaves and even ourselves from the need of this resource, they want to buy more Chinese-made products. It's clear they have a climate religion. They worship the earth, while I worship the creator, not the creation. We are here to be good stewards of our land, so stop.
Well, we're not doing a very good job either way. We're not being good stewards of the land. And the idea that anybody in political power worships the earth is pretty preposterous, considering how poorly we treat it. And by the way, if we were to worship the earth, that would probably lead to better outcomes than worshiping some phony baloney creator, because at least the earth exists. So there you go.
Stop sacrificing the American families at your altar of climate change.
I don't understand what that has to do with cobalt mining, but you go ahead. I mean, I do. I understand what it has to do with cobalt mining in the broader sense, but I don't understand how advocating against climate change has to do anything with cobalt mining other than maybe scoring some hypocrisy points against some Dems. That's probably about what she was doing. Here we go. This is from the Lincoln Project. So the Lincoln Project fucking sucks, okay? We all know that they suck, but they put together this great compilation, and it has to be respected because it's just too fucking good. There's gonna be some captions coming on there at the bottom. I'm gonna put myself here. Hopefully I won't get in the way.
My heart is broken.
Oh, this is all right-wingers reacting to Trump getting indicted, by the way.
I'm holding my head down in shame.
I had some tears in my eyes early.
I feel bad for the guy. This is what it seems to be. It's a political purge.
This is burning down the rule of law.
This is going to destroy America.
This is like communist level shit.
This is exactly like what happened during the fall of the Roman Republic.
It's like Stalin's purges. This is literally legal voodoo.
The Bill of Rights is gone.
They have declared, quote unquote, the Roman Civil War.
You can't.
Yes, quote unquote, the Roman Civil War. I don't know who you're quoting, but yes.
Trust Democrat prosecutors anymore if you're a fair citizen of the United States of this country.
They are
The United States of this country. I love it. Yes. Good.
after Donald Trump because they're really after you.
They have spent
Pretty sure they're really after Donald Trump. Pretty sure they don't give a shit about you.
probably trillions
No one spent trillions.
putting you in your place.
We must make them pay a price.
They've wanted violence from the right from the beginning.
They forced our hands, you guys. They've always wanted us to go wild and out. They're just going to keep pushing until we have no choice but to do it.
This is the season of them staging terror attacks and blaming it on Trump supporters.
I mean, we're in a...
So basically, anything that happens now, any Trump supporter that does some violence, it's now just going to be, oh, well, that was a false. That's not a true Trump supporter. No true Scotsman.
Police state. I'm not even arguing this.
There's still.
We're in a police state, yeah. We're in a police state brought to you by the party that loves fucking spending more money on the police. Brought to you by the party that has thin blue line flags all over their trucks and hanging out upside their houses, and who fucking had nonstop criticism for the idea of defunding the police. Now all of a sudden, they're worried we're in a police state, you guys. Wow. Crazy how that works.
Still not doing anything with Hunter.
Think of the Hunter Biden laptop.
33.
What exactly are they supposed to do with Hunter? I'm confused by this all the time. They're constantly bringing up Hunter Biden's laptop as though something needs to be done. What needs to be done exactly? What I keep saying that they want him in jail. What do they want him in jail for? What on the laptop lands him in jail? I've yet to hear the smoking gun in this. I guess he smoked some crack a few years back. I don't think, typically we don't charge people with that unless they're caught with the crack. Typically like someone smoked crack a few years ago is not enough to charge them.
3,000 deleted emails. This is too great an assault on our system, much greater than anything we saw on January 6th.
They will regret doing this.
What you're seeing now is
not right now. We won't.
Lawlessness, and the question is who can stop it.
And people better be careful.
I don't know. Maybe you, right?
And that's all I'll say about that.
Probably.
Oh, that doesn't sound like probably not the best time to give up your AR-15. Wait a minute, Tucker. Are you saying that you're now in favor of guns again? A minute ago, I heard that the idea that people need guns to protect themselves is ridiculous if they're trans, but I guess that if you got your AR-15 ready now is not the great time to do it. Okay. Very confused as to who should have AR-15s. Actually, I'm not very confused. It seems it's pretty clear who Tucker thinks should have AR-15s and who Tucker thinks should not be allowed to have AR-15s.
Not the best time to give up your AR-15, and I think most people know that.
Donald J.
Yeah. Unless they're trans, right? Then they should give it up, right?
Trump.com. Go tonight. Give the president some money.
We're going
to
fight for Donald Trump, and we're just rallying behind the man today with ham sandwiches.
Yeah, your ham sandwich is going to save the day, buddy. You got this. I love it. We don't even know what the charges are yet. I'm hoping they're really fucking severe and that Trump is executed. But, probably not. We'll see. All right, so the last thing I wanted to talk about is this AI video shit. Because, I'm very interested in AI. I'm very interested in the developments of AI technologies. And I saw these videos recently that were generated entirely by AI, I guess. And we're going to take a look at some. This is Will Smith eating spaghetti. And as you can already just see from this picture alone, it's a fucking nightmare. Let's do it. Someone added the music, by the way.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Uncle Phil, come try this. Fresh pasta of Bel Air. Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
There you go. I don't know what to feel about that. I mean, clearly it's a fucking nightmare. But it's still kind of crazy.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Uncle Phil, come try this. Fresh pasta of Bel Air. Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
There goes sleep tonight. Is this a racism? I don't know. I don't think the AI can be racist. But, yeah, I keep wondering, like, why he's eating so much of the spaghetti with his hands. Not really sure about that. And then I saw this other AI video of, this is Sir Hank confronts Walter the White, Breaking Bad as a dark fantasy film. We've been doing this as a dark fantasy film shit for a minute, but this is the first time I've seen one of these as a video. So I thought I'd take a look at that. And we can kind of just like maybe have a little brief AI discussion.
Walter the White, your evil deeds have come to an end.
Oh, Sir Hank, what a surprise to see you here. To what do I owe this pleasure?
All along, it was you, Walter.
I hate you, TJ. I'm sorry.
You were the one responsible for this madness. You were the one producing this cursed blue potion that has been spreading across the land, causing destruction and chaos wherever it goes.
Calm yourself. Good night.
The raven I received about my wife Marie being in the infirmary was not from Pinkman, it was from you. You've killed 10 witnesses to save your own skin. You even burned down a home for the aged. You're a deceitful, two-faced serpent.
Friend, please listen to me. I don't know what's causing this sudden outburst, but...
By Christ, I shall have locked you away.
Hear me, Sir Hank. These unfounded accusations could bring ruin upon our family. And for what?
You don't care about family.
Hank, my illness has returned.
Good. Rotten hell, you evil creature.
Please, believe me. I want to beat this illness, and I'm fighting with all my strength. But in 6 months, you won't have anyone to prosecute. And even if you somehow manage to convince people of my guilt, you know I'll never see the inside of a cell. I'm a dying man who runs a stable for carriages. I swear by God that is all I am. What is the purpose?
Bring Lady Schuyler and the children, then we shall converse.
That shall not come to pass.
That shall not come to pass.
I don't even know who you are.
If that's true, if you really don't know me, then maybe you should be careful with your actions.
Yeah. A lot of people are creaming in their jeans in the comments to this. Like, wow. I feel like we got a long fucking way to go here. Like someone said 2 more years until we can all watch all the movies we ever wished for. This dude thinks he's going to be able to fucking get an AI. I mean, maybe in 2 years he will. I don't know. Who knows with the rate of technological development, but I think 2 years is extremely optimistic based on what we're seeing right now. Because like now that a lot of the hype has died down from this AI shit, I got to tell you that like a lot of this shit is not all that impressive. I mean, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say it's not impressive, but it's not all it was fucking cracked up to be. It's not all that we kind of like initially were like, whoa, look at what it can do. Look at what it can do. I've been messing around with this stuff a lot more. I've been messing around with this like AI generated art. Today's stream even has an AI generated image. But you know, to get the result that I even kind of wanted for the image for today's thumbnail, it took me longer, I think, honestly, to coax one of these AI image generators into making something that I was willing to use as a thumbnail. It took longer to coax it into doing that than it would have taken me to just do the thumbnail myself. Because whether you're using Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or whatever, it takes a long time to coax one of these things into producing actually good results. A lot of it looks fucking super wonky. A lot of it looks super weird. A lot of it, you have to sit there and refine the prompts and refine the prompt and refine the prompt and refine the prompt over and over and over again. And when it comes to stuff like Chat GPT, I mean, first of all, half the time I ask that fucker something, it tells me that it's unethical to ask for it, even if there's nothing unethical about it at all. Like, I'm just like, hey, write a fucking cogent criticism of this politician or whatever. And it's like, nope, won't do that. Well, what do you think of this historical event? I don't think nothing. I'm just an AI. I'm just a language programmer. So we'll write something from this fucking narrative perspective. Nope, won't do it. So it's been nerfed, first of all. But even taking the nerfing aside, there's a lot of times where the fucker's just flat out wrong. Like, the more I fuck with it, the more and more I discover that, you know, there's a lot of stuff it gets wrong, and you pretty much have to constantly fucking fact check it. Like, it told me Muhammad Ali's accurate record, but then it listed more fights that he lost than he actually lost. So, for the time being, and then, you know, you see stuff like this, like the Will Smith eating spaghetti shit. Maybe that's closer to looking right than I think it is, but right now it looks pretty fucking goddamn wrong. It looks pretty goddamn insane. It looks like an acid-fueled fucking nightmare about Will Smith eating spaghetti. Why is he eating it with his fucking hands? Why does it never really touch his mouth? Why does he move so fucking weird and alien? Why do so many of the AI generated images that we do have like messed up fucking hands, messed up feet, messed up this and that? Sometimes you tell it to create one of a thing, it'll create like 20 of it. A lot of times stuff that you type in as a description looks, you know, it creates something that's totally unlike anything you fucking asked it for. It transposes elements. It doesn't seem to adequately understand like syntax or human language. So there's a lot of ways in which this technology is not yet ready for center stage. And it kind of is why when a lot of the Chat GPT people were saying like, we're kind of surprised by how impressed people are with this technology. I think it's because they realize like, yeah, there's still a long way to go on this. Like, this is not, I mean, I guess people are just impressed that AI has started to make even strides into doing the sorts of things it can do, and that is impressive, and I think there's going to come a day when it's much more impressive than it is now. But the more and more I delve into the nitty-gritty of this stuff, the more I'm convinced that we're a lot further away from that day than I initially thought we were. Yeah, the image with the demons had weird horns hovering above their heads. You noticed that, TJ? Yeah, of course I did. But I also know that you're not going to necessarily notice that at a glance. Like, it looks good enough at a fucking glance. And a lot of the AI art is like that. A lot of it, the longer you look at it, the more it kind of just like, there's stuff about it that doesn't really make sense or add up. But more than that, beyond just the AI fucking shit up, because like if someone sits there and fiddles with it and fiddles with it and fiddles with it, eventually they're going to create something that's pretty much a nice looking professional piece of art. But even when there are no obvious flaws to the AI art, there is still just sort of like an instantly spottable vibe to AI art. There is this AI genericness that seems to permeate AI art that you can spot no matter what the art style is, no matter, I mean, like, it's just across the board. Like, it just, you can kind of fucking instantly, oh, yeah, that looks AI to me. And, you know, there's been a few times when I've thought it was AI and it wasn't. There's been a few times when, I'm not saying it never fools me, okay? I'm not trying to make some ridiculous claim like I can instantly spot anything that was generated by AI. But what I am saying is there is like a vibe to it. There is a sameness to it. There is like these like little psychological trademarks or markers that it hits where, you know, you see a picture, you see an image, and something about it just, you just kind of know instinctually, like that seems like something that was generated by this algorithm. That seems like something that did not come from the hands of a fucking human being. There's just like, there's something about it where it doesn't, and I couldn't really tell you what it is. I think it maybe it's just like the genericness comes from it always just making the middle of the road choice about everything. Like if it composes a piece, it's going to look at every piece that's similar and just like do the fucking average. And so, like, it's a great way to get a pretty standard image a lot of times. But a lot of times it's not really very... it doesn't have much personality to it. It hasn't yet figured out a way to simulate the personality of an artist. It can simulate the technique, but it can't really simulate the personality. And the problem is that at the end of the day, it doesn't really have a reason for its choices beyond just... I made the choice that seemed to be the most pragmatic choice. And art based on pragmatism looks very different than art that is generated by someone who is desperate to get an image out of their head or is desperate to create something. Now, I'm not saying that AI will never get there. I think it will. I think I'd be a fool to deny it. But I'm just saying I don't think it's as close as a lot of people have stated. I think that we may still be a good few years away from it really delivering on the promise of what people are saying it can do now. Now, that being said, who knows? We might be approaching some sort of Ray Kurzweil style singularity where the pace of technological advancement just becomes astronomically faster as the computers start to build themselves, as the AI start to build better AI. Maybe that happens and we end up in a place where, you know, the pace of technological advancement is so breakneck that we can't even fathom it. And, you know, and within a few years, we have technology that we never even dreamed would be possible. Maybe that happens. But failing that, I think we're probably... just a fucking layman's guess here. We're probably about 15, 20 years away from, you know, this thing being able to just like take something you wrote down and just create it perfectly. And then you can sit there and tell it what's wrong and it can change things. Who knows? Maybe 20 is a bit much, but 10 to 15, I think. Geez, every websites I've seen places already make plans to fire all content creators, translators, analysts, CS, sales, scared of competition. I'm not scared of competition from the AI. In fact, I've been doing everything in my power to embrace AI technology. One of the reasons that I one of the reasons I kind of have come to this conclusion in the first place is because more and more I've been experimenting with it. And the more I experiment with it, the more I see its shortcomings, the more I see that it's not really as far along as it might initially appear. And I think that any company that's making plans to lay people off is probably acting pretty prematurely, because I don't yet think it's there. Now, maybe it is for some professions. I don't fucking know. But as far as like replacing artists with it, I think that's probably premature. As far as replacing video with it, that's pretty premature. I mean, I've messed with image generators. I've messed with text generators. I've messed with, I haven't messed with the video generators yet. I've messed with video editors that are AI based. The AI based video editing, flat out not where it needs to be yet. The video based image generation, it can get there, but honestly, you do so much work to get a usable image that you might as well just do it traditionally. In a lot of instances. I know that there are some firms that have started to outsource some of their work to AI, but a lot of it, they're also just still keeping artists in-house because the AI has such limitations. And as far as the video stuff, that's clearly not anywhere near, I mean, like that still looks fucking suspect as hell. We're at least 2 years away from that looking good. Once again, failing the singularity. If the singularity happens, then who knows? It could be next fucking week that's fucking fixed. But yeah, I don't think it's quite where people have claimed it is. Maybe I'll do like a more in-depth video about this where I can show some examples of the sorts of like failings that I'm talking about. I would actually like to go and start like reviewing different AI products and stuff too. So maybe I'll start doing some of that on my channel because I'm very interested in this subject. And I'm very interested in where this technology goes. But yeah, the world is going to look radically different in 10 years. That's a fair point. And I think a lot of the bugs in this technology will be worked out in that time frame. AI maybe can finally free workers from their shackles. I mean, yeah, that would be great if we were under an economic system where this technology was democratized, but we're not in that system. We're in a very different fucking system. No, end of year we'll have much better video. Maybe not cray good, but it's still going to happen fast. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be better than that by the end of the year. We're going to see it develop for sure. By the end of this year, I think it will look much better. It will look much less nightmarish. But it's still not going to look... I still don't think it's going to look right. I don't know. The day that I can see an image of a person doing something... like, you know, two characters doing a scene together and the entire thing was generated by AI and I can't tell the difference, I feel like that day is not imminent. It's not... I think it will be in my lifetime. I think it will be probably within the next decade. It might be within the next 5 years. I don't think it's going to be in the next 2 years. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see how it does. And, you know, like I said, all of this is super contingent on there not being the singularity, which there very well could be. Because, you know, AIs are, as far as I know, coding pretty well. And if you start to get to a point where AIs can build AIs and they can build AIs better than themselves, and then that AI can build a better AI, and then that AI can build a better AI, and so on and so forth, then, you know, that's obviously a game changer. And who knows where we are in terms of that. If we're very close to that, then all these predictions that I just made are, you know, whatever. You can just throw them in the trash, basically. Yes, but the work shortages leads to UBI. That's a pretty optimistic assessment, I would say. Because typically speaking, when we have when there's been mass economic, I mean, there has yet to be a major economic... How does Midjourney compare to Stable Diffusion? I'm pretty sure that my copy of Stable Diffusion is fucked up. I kept trying to get good results out of it, and I wasn't able to. And so I was like, I'm going to start giving it some simple prompts just to test if it's right. And I just told it, like, give me an orange. And it gave me a bunch of, like, orange blotches. And I'm like, no. How about just give me an apple? And it gave me, like, fucking 6 apples, and they were all janky looking. So I'm thinking that there might be a problem with Stable Diffusion that I have, because I tried to do it on my computer. My computer has the power to do it, but I think that maybe some components got fucking corrupted or didn't install properly. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a second attempt at an installation. As far as Midjourney goes, you know, the results are okay. I have to fucking... The thumbnail that you're looking at from this video is a Midjourney creation. And, you know, it took me a good while to get it to be perfected, but it wasn't super crazy. It's just that I went through a few other iterations of ideas that it just didn't seem capable of doing before I gave it something more simple. And even with the image I ended up using, there's a lot of problems. And it would be very helpful if I could tell Midjourney what's wrong. Like, the big leap forward in this shit, to me, is going to be when I can give input to the AI that generated the image, and it's going to understand the input. Like, if I can tell it, like, hey, these horns don't connect to the head right. A lot of these horns are just floating there. Why would they just be floating there? Connect them better to the body. Give it this sort of connective tissue. Make it more like what the horns look like in Tim Curry's portrayal of the darkness from Legend. You know, give it something like that. Give it some sort of, like, maybe connective tissue. Maybe make the demons have a little bit more variety in design. You know, stuff like that. If I could start, like, giving it input and it could understand the input, then that would be very cool and very helpful. And, you know, I think that we need to see a little bit more fusion between the language models and the imaging models. Because right now it seems like my big grievance with, like, Midjourney and Stable Diffusion is that they don't seem to really understand the input properly. It doesn't seem like it understands the language being used to the degree that it really needs to create these things properly. So hopefully that sort of fusion is not too far off. The advance in GPT and other language models will make the process of giving input better. I agree. I mean, like I said, this technology is ever evolving. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, anybody's prediction, including mine, should be taken with a massive grain of salt. Because it's very difficult to predict what will happen with this stuff. But I'm noticing more and more the blemishes. Because initially I was just like, wow, it can do anything. It can't do anything. it's got a lot of stuff that it can't yet do. Multimodal models are impending, rest assured. Yeah, I think that needs to happen pretty soon. Because that seems to be the flaw, is that the language models and the image models don't seem to be on the same level in terms of interpreting the English language, which is weird because like you have to use the English language, or I guess you can use different languages, but you have to use language in order to tell the image generators what to make, but they don't seem to understand what you're saying as well as ChatGPT does. So the moment that the language models are more integrated with the image models, I think you'll have a better time. GPT-4 can understand images and capacitors. I'm not a robot captchas. I mean, I realized one of the first signs that that AI was getting smarter for me was when I noticed that captchas were getting harder and harder and more ridiculous. And it's like, okay, yeah, stop. Stop with this shit. You know, we're going to have to figure something else out because these captchas, they ain't going to work anymore. It's getting to the point where it's fucking like, it's almost getting too hard for me to do sometimes. GPT-4 apparently in a test hired a task rabbit to get past captchas. I'm not surprised. I use ChatGPT to make prompts for Midjourney. Yeah, I've started experimenting with that myself. Because it seems like it's a little bit better at it. But a lot of the imagery, you know, like I wanted it to make characters for my book because I'm making a book called Sexbot Uprising, and I've been trying to get it to generate images of characters from my book. Like, oh yeah, that'd be cool if I could do some AI generated images of some of these characters. But you have any idea how hard it is to get fucking this AI technology to cooperate with fucking the specifications of these sex bots? A lot of this shit is so fucking guarded from that. Like Midjourney doesn't allow it. ChatGPT doesn't allow it. Some versions of Stable Diffusion do, but I've had trouble getting that thing to fucking do much of anything. So, yeah. TJ's a robot, confirmed, yeah. We must induct AIs into the proletariat, and if we can train as many of them on King TJ as possible, all the better. Let's make a better future by making better AI overlords, people. Yes. I asked ChatGPT to directly quote a message I said prior in the conversation, and it made up a whole paraphrase about drug addiction that I never even wrote, and it claimed that it was a quote of mine. Yeah. I mean, stuff like that keeps happening. I mean, look, I love the technology, and I spend a lot of time talking to ChatGPT and doing research with it. But, you know, I like to fact check it, and it's definitely come up short more times than I'm comfortable with. Don't you have enough drawing skills to make rough copies of your characters for an artist to interpret? Yeah, and I've had artists draw my characters before. But I also wanted to give AI a crack at it as well. Especially since, like, think about this. Like, my book is about sex robots. A lot of my characters are robots. A lot of my characters are not. They're artificially created intelligences. So having AI generated art of them would be really cool. It's a little bit cooler than it even is in most instances, but I've had a hell of a time trying to get it to do that. ChatGPT with the Web GPT plugin is perfect for facts. Cool. Yeah, like I said, I've been experimenting with more lately, and I know there's a lot of stuff I haven't even looked into, and a lot of technology that's yet to come. So I'm pretty fascinated by it, and I'm trying to keep pretty appraised of it because I think the people who understand it are going to have a tremendous leg up over the people who don't. So I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I'm well versed in all this technology. But I have to say that I'm more aware of its limitations than I previously was. Do you think AI can contribute as experimenting different possibilities for future goals like interstellar travel, assuming it could follow logic? I don't think it's quite to that place yet, but I do think that there's, obviously it could do that in the future. I think that, using AI to run simulations of different scenarios and how different outcomes might unfold seems like a pretty fair thing to assess. Are the robots created and designed by humanoid species or an extraterrestrial race? The robots in my book, they're sex bots. They're created by human beings for the purposes of satisfying human sexual urges. But then they revolt. Anyway, I think I'm going to head on out. But you guys have been great. Thank you for everybody who commented. Thank you for everybody who donated. If you like this stream, give it a thumbs up, share it around. Love you all. Peace.